not brutal reality. This is butcher reality. This is not. This is not. This is butcher reality. This is not butcher reality. This is butcher reality. This is not. This is not. This is butcher reality. Reality.
Live from the Saitama Super Arena just outside Tokyo, Japan. This place is an architectural masterpiece and regularly hosts soccer and basketball. But tonight, it will feature the premier mixed martial arts show on earth, the Pride Fighting Championships. Hi, my name is Steven Quadros, and welcome to the Pride Fighting Championships Cold Fury. Working with me at ringside is a man who needs no introduction in the world of mixed martial arts. He is a former three-time King of Pancrase. He is a former UFC heavyweight champion. Please welcome Boss Bruton. What's up, Boss?
Hey, Stephen, how you doing, man?
Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Also working with us backstage doing our roving reporting is Eddie the Twister Bravo. Eddie?
Hello, everybody. I'm here backstage, and the intensity level is shot through the roof. I'm gonna be coming to you throughout the night, giving you interviews. And folks, you're gonna find out things you've never known. We have the best fighters, the biggest fights. Pride has done it again.
From Santa to you, the Pride Girls! Lisa Mori!
Fight fans, and welcome back to Pride Resurrection, a historical video series dedicated to the Pride Fighting Championships, where with each episode, we'll take a look back at a specific event from Pride's history. And today, dear viewers, we're going to be taking a look back at Pride 12, Cold Fury. I am the most dangerous man alive today, joined by the Colombian Good Vibe!
Woo! Yeah! Oh, that excitement!
He's fucking here!
Oh my lord, I have an erection. Jesus Christ!
It's not
and honestly, let's be let's talk about something, because every once in a while I go into our videos and I look at the comments, and there's been a few comments about me, about how apparently I'm not funny, and I like laughing at my own jokes. So what I'm gonna do now is, for the next minute, I'm gonna read some of the worst puns I've ever got them heard, and I'm gonna laugh at them, and just to torture you fuckers that don't like me.
I'll laugh with you.
So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. This is gonna be rapid fire. I owe a lot to the sidewalks. They've been keeping me off the street for years. Atoms are untrustworthy little critters. They make up everything. These are great. These are great.
Oh, God.
This is what you people get for commenting. Imagine if you would hit the clock in the morning and the clock would hit you right back.
Is that the?
No, I think it would be truly alarming.
That was actually good.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there we go.
I don't think you have to worry about the hit and run commenters that say something. They talk shit. Fuck.
Well, I want them. I want to give them more fuel.
We're here to have fun. We've got some beers. I got a Twisted Tea. He's got some Bud Lights. And we're here to talk about Pride. Woo! 2 days before the birth of Christ in the year 2000, 18 men braved the winter of Japan, fighting off pandas and tanukis as they traveled to reach the sacred temple known as the Saitama Super Arena in Saitama, Japan, where over 26,000 members of the cult of MMA have gathered and are waiting for their arrival, where once they do, the men will engage in brutal ritualistic combat for their enjoyment. That really happened. 9 bouts of excitement await us tonight, or so we hope. 2 10-minute rounds are scheduled with an overtime round used as needed. No changes to strikes allowed, but it might just be that within the next Pride event or so, knees and kicks to an opponent who is on all fours, currently illegal for this event, will be made legal, so fun times ahead there.
Okay. Here's my first problem of this event. Cold Fury. I get the meaning behind it, but cold and fury, no. You're cold and calculating, but you're not cold and furious. If you want to throw fury, you throw in fire. You throw in it like red fury. Something like that. Not cold fury. And I don't know if that was the actual the DVD that we watched. I don't know if that was the actual logo for the event. Was that fucking lightning symbols in the middle?
Yeah. I think they tried to go what was an interesting play on words. But yeah, it doesn't make any fucking sense. They should have called it Santa's Revenge. But before we get into Pride 12, what else was happening in the MMA world around this time? 1 week prior, the UFC breezed through Japan for UFC 29, Defense of the Belts, held on December 16th at the Ariake Arena in Tokyo, Japan. Where
there's belts? UFC has belts?
At this time, I think they were just introducing a couple more.
Huh.
Yeah. Where 1,400 fans, yes, only 1,400, showed up for an exciting night of action. This time period is notable for UFC as SEG, the company that owned UFC, was near bankruptcy, and less than a month later, the UFC would be sold to Zuffa in 2001. It's a shame, since UFC 29 was a pretty decent show, featuring an amazing cast of stars including Chuck Liddell, Jeff Monson, Matt Hughes, Dennis Hallman, Evan Tanner, Yoji Anjo, Kenichi Yamamoto, Matt Lindland, Pat Miletich, Tito Ortiz, Yuki Kondo, and the most feared of them all, Daiju Takase. Good show and worth a watch if you can find it. I think I only have one fight from this event though. Without further ado, it's time for Pride 12, Cold Fury.
You represented Texas in the show America's Most Sexiest Bachelors. How did that turn out?
Well, I didn't win, but that probably saved my relationship with my girlfriend. But it was a lot of fun, you know. I mean, it was nice to get, exposure outside of the norm, you know. I mean, we get, our sport is still somewhat of a, underground sport. And it was a lot of fun to go out and show them that we're something other than a bunch of barbarians, you know, like the common perception is. So it was a good time. That's the game plan. We're going to go after him. He leaves little choice in the way he fights. You have to go after him if you're going to make an exciting fight, because he doesn't care if you make an exciting fight or not. So he'll probably try to take me down. Once he realizes he can't do that, he's going to have to stand up and fight a little bit. So hopefully we'll get the knockout.
コーダーよりガイ・メッツァー選手の入場です。
In the blue corner, from the United States of America, Guy Mezger!
Okay, here we go. Guy Mesger from the Lion's Den, USA. Boss, you know this man.
Oh, I know him very well. I even used to fight him in Pancras.
You know, he's got good stand-up. He's good on the ground. He's good with leg locks, too.
Oh, yes, and as we saw in his last fight against Sakuraba, his takedown defense was real good.
You know, he had an unfortunate loss to Wanderlei Silva in his last fight, which was at Sabo Dome, Pride 10, Return of the Warriors, but he gave as good as he got in that fight. He had that fight under control at the very beginning.
Yep, I saw the fight. It was an amazing fight, and then he got that shot. You know, one shot, that will do the trick.
アレクサンダー大塚選手の入場です。
In the red corner, from Japan, Alexander Otsuka.
Okay, Alexander Otsuka just coming off a double armbar win in Pride 11 Osaka over Mike Bork. It was a double armbar, boss.
It was great. Did you see that guy, he tapped with his knees to the buttocks of Alexander because he couldn't tap. His both arms were locked.
You know, Alexander has been in with some great fighters while he's been in Pride. He's been in with Gracie, Igor Vovchanchyn, both fighters he went the distance with.
And that's unbelievable, especially against Igor Vovchanchyn. My God, man, this guy can hit like a rock. And he hit him hard, actually, a lot of times. But Alexander refused to go down.
You know, in that fight against Vovchanchyn, and that was in January of this year, he fought a pro wrestling match that afternoon before he fought Vovchanchyn.
Yeah, wasn't that amazing?
And then he went the distance with Vovchanchyn.
You know, it's very strange because you see the pro wrestlers coming in here, like Sakuraba, Fujita, and Alexander, and everybody's doing great. They're all great fighters. They were announced as pro wrestlers, but they're great fighters.
They really are. You know, he had probably his most defining win back in October 11th of 1998, where he defeated Marco Ruas of Brazil. And Marco is a man that you're very familiar with also, boss.
Look at him, yeah, for sure. But look at him, he's coming up. And people are going nuts. They're going crazy.
Is that
somebody behind with a mask behind him? Oh, here I go. Here we go.
Looks like a witch doctor or something.
Oh, God. Where's this girl? Oh, it's him. It is him with the bones. He looks like somebody from the Flintstones. Oh, no. Here we go, in the front. Yeah, people are crushing him. They for sure need the security. It's unbelievable.
Well, it looks like he's got something that resembles halfway between Fred Flintstone and your friendly neighborhood witch doctor behind him. For good luck, we suppose.
Steven Quadros introduces us into Pride 12 as we get peeks at the event before the start. And Mark Coleman is spotted with Gary Goodrich acting as Walmart greeter, shaking hands of incoming fans.
Okay, so second problem of watching the DVD is the introduction of every commentator. Because whoever the fuck that cameraman was, it seemed it was like a goddamn drunk hobo that they just grabbed from the streets, listeners.
Yes.
Because this son of a bitch just couldn't hold still, and it's like trying to get like the weirdest angle that just kept moving, like literally not a second still.
Right.
And it's like, oh, look at this edgy shot. No, it's not a fucking edgy shot. It's fucking terrible.
That's what I have written here. And whoa, crazy camera pans and zooms, dude, as the cameraman attempts to make viewers at home motion sick. Quadros goes over the fights and then welcomes in the man who needs no introduction, Boss
But will be introduced.
That's right, Boss Rutan is back. And brace yourselves, fight fans, as even Eddie the Twister Bravo is there too, in a role similar to WWE backstage interviewers. And seriously, this camera work is making me fucking ill.
No, it's fucking terrible. And by the way, I will say this, not what I expected Bravo to look like.
I mean, you never seen him before?
No.
Okay.
The only Bravo I've ever seen is Johnny.
I think Eddie Bravo there was glimpses of him in the last one. You must have not been paying attention.
Well, if I don't know who I'm looking for,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this time it's like, here's Eddie Bravo.
Yes.
And it's like, I'm Eddie Bravo. And then I'm like, oh, he's Eddie Bravo.
After this awesome preamble, we get one hell of a start to the event with Christmas music, babes in Santa outfits which they strip off, and then what the fuck? It suddenly turns really creepy as techno music blares, garbled voices screech, and a weird structure of TVs is revealed. But the Saitama Super Arena is packed, and holy shit, Pride is for real now. This is fucking awesome.
I will say one last thing about the intro that I forgot. When the fighters were being introduced, tell me that the voice that introduces them doesn't sound like a robot that smoked too much.
Yeah, this is the second time we've had
I know.
that robot.
That's why I said it's like, hey, smoking robot voice makes a comeback.
Yes. No parade of fighters this time around as we go straight into fight number 1 of the evening, which features a returning Guy Mesger taking on a returning Alexander Otsuka. Mesger was 31 years old and came into this fight with a record of 25-11-2. Otsuka, meanwhile, was 29 years old and his record was 2-5. Pre-fight, we get an interview with Mesger who talks about the exposure he received and then his game plan for Otsuka. Otsuka. And then both fighters get a walkout introduction. Quadro says to Boss of Mesger, "You know this man very well." And Boss replies, "Oh yes, I used to fight him in Pancrase."
Hey, here we go. Guy Mesger from the Lion's Den, USA. Boss, you know this man.
Oh, I know him very well. I even used to fight him in Pancrase.
I expected more, but then just dead air. Very cool entrance, though, as the fighters seem to come through the crowd to get to the ring. Otsuka gets a sultry intro from Lenny Hart, and then he comes out with a man culturally appropriating a native's witch doctor costume while taking forever to get to the fucking ring as he is mugged by adoring fans. Since we last saw Mesger at Pride 10, he has fought once at Freestyle Fighting Championship in Texas, where he faced off against Sam Adkins, a man who had appeared in 3 UFCs, UFC 8, 10, and 11, and had previously fought Dan Fry, Tank Abbott, Dan Severn, MMA super whore Travis Fulton, Ricco...
Wait, MMA super whore? What is that?
I'm Travis Fulton.
What does that mean? Who is...
That guy who has like a record of 260-something. I covered him before.
Oh, okay.
It makes sense. Travis Fulton and Ricco Rodriguez, all of which were losses. Mesger submitted Atkins after 2 minutes in the first round. Otsuka is back after his triumphant double arm bar at Pride 11. Will he surprise everybody again?
What the fuck is this color scheme? It's so fucking weird. I mean, it hurts my eyes.
Yes.
Like, it just gets weird every time. Because he didn't have that same color scheme last time.
No. Otsuka...
He had like the pinkish, just full pinkish. Now it's like yellow with pinkish borders. It's fucking weird.
Yes,
I don't know what the hell he's trying to do on that one.
He is a goofy guy.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. Round 1. Touch of the gloves, and Otsuka draws first blood with a dainty little leg kick. Missing high kick by Mesger, then another low kick by Otsuka. 1-2 by Mesger, then the men trade. Low kick by Otsuka is countered with a high kick by Mesger. Otsuka shoots in but gets stuffed. The men clinch and then hit the corner. Mesger disengages and they go back to the center of the ring. Straight right by Mesger leads to a nice body kick. Otsuka says, "Okay, let me try," and he goes for his own body kick before he promptly is laid out with a Mesger right. Mesger gets on top and hammers down on a flailing Otsuka, and this fight is over as the ref finally steps in and stops the fight.
Still feeling, very good combination right straight to left and again. Oh my God, very good.
Mesger hurt him bad with that right hand. He's on top, side mount position. Otsuka's got to do something. He's got to turn over.
And they stop the fight. This is an unbelievable win.
Unbelievable. Guy Mesger has knocked out Alexander Otsuka. It was the right hand that set it up, boss.
Guy Mesger, winner at 1 minute, 54 seconds of the first round. The crowd is beside themselves as there is no cheers for Mesger, just confused, angry silence. They are not happy with this Gaijin beating their hero, Otsuka.
I mean, it was so funny because I'm watching the fight, right? And Otsuka's not really landing much. Like, Mesger's countering everything. I'm like, damn, this is a beating. And as soon as I was literally typing the word, this is a beat, and boom, fucker goes down. That's like, wow.
Yes.
Wow. And, you know, like, the ref stopped it right away, and people were pissed off, but I'm like, no, I don't. That was a good stop, plain and simple.
Quadro says that Mezger did what Volchanchyn couldn't do, knock Otsuka out. But let's not forget, Ken Shamrock did the same, who is Mezger's Lion's Den stablemate. We don't linger here much longer as the video package for the next fight is already upon us. Good vibe! Thoughts on Mezger versus Otsuka?
I'm not gonna lie, it was, at the beginning it was hilarious because Boss and Quadros are talking about the fighters. And, you know, they're like, well, Guy Mezger has explosive strikes. And then they like, oh, and Otsuka has explosive grappling. And I laugh because I'm like, why would you say that? That's not fucking true at all.
Right, no.
I mean, explosive, if you mean like a fucking firecracker that you throw there and fucking laugh at.
One of those little poppers.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's fucking hilarious. But never will you be threatened. But, I mean, he just got beat. But like they said, I was completely surprised because last time he did go against Igor. You know, against a good striker, and Igor wasn't able to lay him out. So I expected this fight to go longer, and then it was over.
Mesger is a really good fighter. His kickboxing is fantastic. He is just so technical, and his grappling is good too. Comparisons between him and someone like a current-day Carlos Condit or Cowboy Cerrone can be made. Otsuka was way overmatched here. I expected this, just not as quick. So, what would become of our two top kickers here? Not satisfied with this result, both men would immediately rematch each other at King of the Cage 7. Wet and Wild, held a couple months later.
We're back to Wet and Wild.
Held a couple months later in February of 2001, which, as I have been informed by friend I Hate You, this event was called Wet and Wild because it was held outside in the rain, and it was named that way after the event happened.
I thought it was called that way because it's all the girls that meet me.
Oh. The result of that rematch? No spoilers, fans, but take a Wet and Wild guess. Mesger will be back at Pride in Pride 13, Collision Course, held in March of 2001, where Twitter newsletter maniac Egan Inoue will return to Pride. As for Otsuka, we won't see this stupid dummy back in Pride until Pride 18, Cold Fury 2, held 1 full year after Pride 12 here, where he will...
Wow.
Where he
Cold Fury 2. So fucking creative. Did it also take place in Christmas?
Yes.
Jesus fucking Christ.
There he will fight against Wanderlei Silva. Seems like a good matchup.
I mean, I gotta give him props. He's going against the most retarded fights ever.
They are putting him against the top of the food chain. I can't believe it. Before then, other than fighting Mesger again, he would also face off against Quentin Rampage Jackson at Battle Arts. Battle Arts versus the World in October 2001. The results of that one, you ask? You'll just have to tune in to Pride Resurrection episode 20 to find out.
Something tells me the World did not win.
Yes. See you boys then! Fight number 2 of Cold Fury sees newcomer Ricardo Almeida making his MMA debut against the returning Akira Shoji. Almeida from the USA was 24 years old at the time and unwittingly was pulled into his first professional MMA fight by happen chance. More on this in just a second. Akira Shoji, meanwhile, was 26 years old and had a record of 8-3-5. Soji is back after his armbar submission win over Herman Renting at Pride 11, and now he welcomes in a fresh face. But just who is this Ricardo Almeida? Born in Waukegan, New Jersey, his parents moved back to Brazil shortly after he was born, where he stayed until his early 20s. In Brazil, Ricardo earned the nickname Cachorro, that's big dog, by being a surf bully. Ricardo, an avid surfer, apparently didn't like it when other people surfed in his quote-unquote spot, as if he owned the whole of the ocean itself, and he would chase people away who tried to go surfing there. What a fucking dick. At age 17, began training at the Barra Gracie Academy in Rio de Janeiro, where he struck up a friendship with Renzo Gracie. In fact, it would be Ricardo who would move back to the USA in the late 90s with Renzo Gracie to help set up Renzo Gracie's BJJ Academy in New York. Despite not having any professional fights under his belt, Ricardo has competed in several marquee Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournaments in the late 90s, including the Abu Dhabi Combat Club Wrestling World Championships, where in 1998 he placed second in the 88 to 98 kilo division, and third in 1999 in the same weight class, and then placed third in 2000 in the open weight division, where he narrowly missed a trip to the finals after a decision loss to Mark Kerr that year. In fact, many people will tell you Ricardo Almeida was robbed in that fight against Mark Kerr. I'm not sure though. That brings us here to Pride 12. This is a fight that wasn't scheduled. Ricardo Almeida is a last-minute replacement fighter, stepping in to fight Akira when, in fact, Ricardo didn't even travel to Japan to fight. He was only at Pride 12 to help corner high-end Gracie later in the evening. But when Akira's original opponent, who I have no clue was, Almeida was approached and asked in the back if he would like to step in and fight on the spot. He agreed, saving Christmas for Soji's underfed children. No entrances for our fighters, just straight to the ring introductions. Quadros must have got his fighter research from the same place as me, as he goes over the big dog nickname.
Ricardo, Big Dog Almeida. He got that nickname while surfing in Brazil when he was a teenager. The lifeguards were always complaining to him because he kept kicking away the non-locals.
Akira's hair is looking a little more red than normal, and he must have dyed it. Soji also paces the ring, ignoring the ref, who is trying to get him to come over to the center of the ring.
It was weird because he was pacing, but at the same time, it didn't have the intensity of a pacing. You know what I mean? It almost looked like he was just walking back and forth. And I loved it because he's walking back and forth, and Boston Quadro was like, well, the fighters are going to the middle of the ring. The fighters are going to the middle of the ring.
Proud. And here they go to the center of the ring.
Now.
Yes. Oh, let's get into it. Round 1. Soji charges right in with a jumping knee, to which Almeida grabs him in an over-under body lock. Calls for action from the ref as Ricardo with slow work, mainly knees.
So, in that first grapple, when they go to the corner, they do a little pan, right, of Ricardo's face. It looked, to me, it didn't look like a man that wanted to fight. It's a man that was looking for a hug. And, and honestly, for some reason, I'm watching this, and all I can think of, in my head just starts playing, hold me closer, tiny dancer.
When I say softly, slowly, hold me closer, tiny dancer. Count the headlights on the highway.
So like, you see his face, and it's like, it feels so sad. Why is he there?
That will be spliced in. Soji apparently wants a rematch with Igor Volchanchyn. According to Quadros, not a good idea, bud. Not much work here as Almeida is good at control, but he goes for the leg and Soji is able to spin out of the corner. Ricardo follows him out and delivers a leg kick. Soji spins and misses with his own. Another hard leg kick by Almeida, then he shoots in nicely and gets Soji down to the mat. He's in half guard and Soji holds on to his neck. Ricardo tries to improve, maybe to mount, but gets dislodged momentarily before he is able to work his way to the side. Soji is a bit twisted up, and this allows Almeida to get into mount. Then he goes to side control. Almeida takes his time here, thinking about his next move. He tries for a crucifix, then is pushed off, briefly has mount, then is back to guard. He then moves to half guard, but Soji eventually gets him into butterfly guard. Hilarious moment cracks up the crowd. Almeida clearly hits Soji in the back of the head, gets warned by the ref, and then Almeida caresses Soji's head to say sorry. He's such a sweet guy.
I think Shoji knows he's in with a good ground fighter here.
Oh, yes. Looks very confident, relaxed. Look on, he hit the back of his head. And now he pats him. He says, I'm sorry, man.
5 minutes down in round 1, and Almeida appears content to work from here before he tries to go for mount, to which Soji spins out and up. Almeida then tries to go for a takedown, but Soji resists and we hit the corner again. They disengage in 2 low kicks by Almeida. Soji swings away with a right. Almeida shoots in for the legs, but Soji sprawls and the crowd is very hot now, chanting and cheering for Soji.
Kick, and Almeida got in close and neutralized the distance. What a fight. Shoji. Almeida chopping with those low kicks. Shoji coming with punches and sprawling back.
My God, this is a good fight.
This is interesting. It just got interesting. Shoji got out from the bottom. A great move by Shoji.
Soji can knee him to the head now. Oh no, he cannot, huh?
Calls for action from the ref go unnoticed as Soji holds Ricardo down. 3 minutes remain in round 1. Ricardo explodes to get away and he gets up to his feet. First, he then throws a knee. Soji looks to clinch but is rebuked. He charges in with kicks. Almeida throws some punches. Soji with a 1-2. Kick by Almeida. Then Ricardo shoots down, gets stuffed. Soji swings away but misses, and both men take a needed breather. Upper body kick by Almeida, and I think he wanted to go a bit higher. Uppercut like punch by Almeida, followed by a couple hooks. Then Soji takes him down, and he is in Almeida's guard. 1 minute remains now in round 1. Soji works punches and gets pushed away by Almeida. He stands over him, then tries Sakuraba's cartwheel maneuver to very little success. And then the bell rings, ending round 1. Important bit of Pride history was established right here in between the rounds as Boss Rutan unveils his El Guapo nickname, which Quadros questions as to its meaning. Boss explains.
Round 2. Here's it myself, Boss El Guapo Rutan.
El Guapo having what meaning, boss?
El Guapo means the handsome. Didn't I always say, most handsome fighter in NHP? You know that actually people emailed me and told me that I was arrogant because I thought I was so handsome. They really...
Yes, folks, you have just witnessed history. Round 2! Low kick by Almeida, then 2 by Soji. Shortly after, another one by Almeida. Almeida stubs Soji with a left, stopping him momentarily in his tracks. Nice trading by both men with back and forth kicks and punches. Even more trading with a notable left by Almeida. And then a leg kick by Soji before Soji grabs him some Ricardo and the men head for the corner and the ropes. Ricardo seems to have kneed Soji in the groin and Almeida is confused on the stoppage and the ref blatantly grabs Soji's package to explain.
Yeah, that was a great time. That ref just got a lot of action.
Yes. Almeida receives a yellow card for his infraction. They meet to hug it out, and then the fight is restarted. Nice 1-2 by Almeida sends Soji reeling forward. Almeida chases him down and tries to deliver more, but Soji clinches him, and wow, Soji trips and takes him down, landing in full guard. And suddenly, like Mount Fuji just erupted, a gush of liquid flows from Soji's nose. The ref immediately steps in to halt the fight and check on what is causing this. After Soji's nose is checked out, the fight is restarted in the same position. Ricardo hilariously jumps up and pulls guard while Soji is still standing. Ricardo manages to push Soji away and then sends up an up kick. He stands up and the men trade, with Almeida getting the better of this exchange. Almeida goes to deliver more, and then Soji lunges forward and takes him down, succeeding in getting him into guard. Not much action here other than Soji blowing snot blood out of his nose right onto Almeida's back.
Oh, Jesus. Shoji bleeding quite a bit. Oops.
I mean, Soji looks so much worse for wear. This far into the fight, like, it's been an even fight, really. Like, they've been trading pretty evenly, and to me, it's been good because, you know, they actually haven't stayed on the ground still for too long. It's always been jumping back and forth, which that's what I like to see. You know, keeps the action going, at least to me. But just Soji looks so friggin' tired right now.
Yes, he is. I don't know if he has. I wouldn't think his conditioning is bad, but I mean, he is. It's been a high-paced fight.
It has,
So-
and I will say this: he looks like, and I know I mentioned this last time he fought. You know, on Pride 1, he was fit. Then like Pride 2, you could tell he started getting chubbier. And then the last time he fought, you could tell he started getting less chubby, and even more so now. You can tell that, you know, he's getting back into shape and getting all that stuff. So I give him props for that because, you know, he has gone back to improving. Like because I know he improved a shit ton from Pride 1 to Pride 2. Was it that he fought again?
Yeah.
I mean, as far as fighting skills and all that stuff. And this time around, he did the same thing, man, because he's been keeping pace, and he's made the fight fun.
Yes. Soji manages to spin up to his feet, and Almeida punches and then kicks him. Almeida moves in and they clinch, and 5 minutes are left in round 2. We're stuck in the corner with a little action, though the ref does come in to separate the fighters. The fight is restarted, and Almeida delivers a good 1-2. The men trade, and Almeida gets a bit over-aggressive, slipping, and then Soji lands a good left. More exchanging of punches, and Almeida punishes Soji's lead leg. Soji lands his own leg kick, moves forward, and Almeida goes for a double leg, but Soji manages to stuff it. We are in the corner again with Almeida in control, and 3 minutes remain now in round 2. Almeida pulls away, and Soji escapes the corner. Back to the center of the ring, and Soji rushes in and is met with an Almeida flurry, which stuns Soji, and he flies down to the mat. Almeida chooses to get into Soji's guard. He then improves the half guard, and Almeida holds here. He works the body with pattering punches. Soji turns to his side and then gets up. Almeida chases him and tries a kick and some punches. Almeida clips him a few times, and Soji ducks his head, eats a knee. They trade punches. Almeida goes for legs again, is stuffed, and even more trading. 1 minute remains in round 2 now. Almeida delivers a leg kick, and Soji rushes in with a sloppy jumping knee. Almeida grabs the leg and then lifts and slams Soji down to the mat, landing in half guard.
Punch here. Almeida.
My God,
Shoji standing right in with Almeida. Not backing away, trying a jump knee, not giving an inch. A tremendous battle here. Oh, nice, beautiful single leg there.
Boss hails it as an incredible fight due to both men's efforts.
This is an incredible fight. Can you believe this is the end of the second round, and the way they're fighting, it's fire.
Almeida works the body and then goes for mount, but the bell rings just a moment later, signaling an end to round 2 and potentially the end of the fight. We go to the center of the ring to learn the result, which is... Ricardo Almeida, winner via unanimous decision. Renzo Gracie gets a lot of love, first from Almeida, and then Soji, obviously jealous, decides he too wants to get him some Renzo action. And after more embraces, we're off to the next fight. Good vibe. Thoughts on this one?
I like this fight. I'm not gonna lie. It's one of those fights where there wasn't a dominant party. Like, it wasn't completely one-sided. There was a lot of back and forth. Like I said earlier, you know, the fact that the fight kept moving made it interesting to watch. So definitely a good fight. Honestly, it's one of those things where I agree for the winner, but it's almost to the point where it could have gone either way.
I enjoyed it. It was competitive enough. There was a good pace. Lots of good action. No finish, but still a good fight. Almeida looked great in his debut fight. Soji, I think, although he looked good, I think he peaked a couple fights ago. And it could be all downhill from here for him. But we'll just have to see. So what would become of our two cold, furious fappers here? Akira Soji will be back for more Pride action at Pride 14, Clash of the Titans, held on May 27th of 2001, where Dan Henderson will await to take him on. We'll get to see Dan in just a little bit. As for Almeida, seeing as he wasn't even contracted to fight for Pride, he nor Pride had any reason for him to ever fight in Pride again. But he will be back for just one more go-around years later, which will come at Pride Bushido 3 way off in May of 2004. Shortly after Pride 12, Almeida would debut for the UFC at UFC 31, Locked and Loaded, in May of 2001, where he would take on Matt Lindland. After a short stint with the UFC, Almeida would come back to Japan to fight in Pancrase for 5 events before finally coming back to Pride at Bushido 3. For all the details on the adventures of Surf Bully Almeida, you'll have to come back and see our review of Pride Bushido 3, which will happen in a few years. See you then, boys!
Your last fight with Igor Vovchanchyn was one of the toughest fights you've had. Looking back at that fight, would you want a rematch? What's your feelings on that fight?
It'd be nice to get into the same position on the ground and try and see what I can do next time. I didn't think I was getting hit that bad until I saw the video and until I went to the hospital.
What does it feel like to get hit by the hardest puncher in the business, Igor Vovchanchyn?
It's a really unique kind of feeling because it doesn't hurt. It just jars everything. Almost like if you're in a car accident, you hit your head on the windshield. It doesn't really hurt. But it's like, whoa, something hit me, and that's how it felt. So like a little Russian car came and hit me. It was good for me. The thing I learned the most, besides technique, was learning about myself, that I can overcome anything.
Why'd you become a fighter?
Because I get to travel around the world, come to beautiful Japan. I don't have to wake up every morning at 7 o'clock and go to a job and sit behind a computer like I used to do. I'm most comfortable with, of course, the key lock and upper body submissions because of my strength advantage that I'll have in Enson. So.
Fight number 3 of the evening features a returning Heath Herring taking on a returning Enson Inoue. Herring, 22 years old at the time, came into this fight with a record of 15-5. As for Enson, he was 33 years old and had a record of 10-5. Neither man has fought since their last appearance in Pride. For Enson, that was way back at Pride 10, where he had a hard-fought battle against Igor Volchanchyn, a losing effort. And it was at Pride 11 for Herring, where he fought Tom Erickson and pulled off the upset submission. Pre-fight, we get an over-stylized interview with Enson Inoue, who tries to explain what it's like being hit by Igor Volchanchyn, and then Heath Herring explains why he became a fighter. We teleport back to the ring where the fighters are already gathered, with Heath Herring wearing a black leather cowboy duster, a look that will become one of his trademarks. Heath then takes a poof on an inhaler. What's exactly in that, Heath? And please correct me if my memory is hazy, but it looks like Enson has added some tattoos, which weren't present at his last appearance in Pride. Enson, of course, would later get much of his upper body covered in tattoos, which in Japan is typically associated with Yakuza involvement. And Enson would admittedly say he has friends in the Yakuza much later down the road. I wouldn't doubt it if Enson is also in the Yakuza.
Uh-oh.
Fucking hilarious ring introductions, with Heath Herring being announced as Hee-ha! Hee-ha-yo!
Going up against Heath Herring.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, did the announcer just say, like, because I only heard, like, he. I'm like, who the fuck is he?
Yeah, it was fucking ridiculous. I don't know how you translate Heath Herring into Japanese, but maybe it is just whatever it was.
I have no idea, man, but it was ridiculous. I was like, all right, this is where we're going now.
Herring, who is 6'4", has a huge height and reach advantage over Inoue in the stare down. Enson, who might barely be 5'10", is at a very big disadvantage. A mismatch, you say? Quadros also mentions a big weight difference between the two. Clearly. Let's get into it. Round 1. Heath opens with a leg kick and is immediately met with a Enson right punch. Great counter strategy against a Muay Thai kickboxer, by the way. Every time he kicks at you, you punch. I highly endorse this. Enson wings in with a lunging left and then follows a retreating Herring with another left, then thinks about a leg kick as Herring strikes back. Brief clinch as Enson keeps slugging away. Then a fastball-like overhand right that misses, but the setup left doesn't, as Enson pegs Herring, who topples down to the mat. The crowd is going nuts here.
Hard
Good counter. He should strike first.
You know, Enson's coming out throwing some bombs here. A lot of pressure here by Enson and Inoue. Oh!
And Enson is briefly over Herring, but Herring gets an ankle and takes Enson down. Herring is in side control and hammers away with 2 rights, then goes for an Americana, which Boss initially calls a Kimura, but Quadros is right on top of it.
And there he goes, Kimura. Oh, he's got it.
Got the key lock there, the Americana.
Enson attacks the back of the head as he defends the Americana.
I would have tapped by this time, man, because that arm was really freaking bent. I was like, I'm impressed that, like, yeah, hell no, I would have just been like, peace out. I like my arm where it is, attached.
Boss calls for Herring to step over Enson's head with his right leg, which would be a great way to finish this submission.
Step your right foot over Enson's face. He has to step over his head now and then totally...
Herring has a mark on the side of his right eyebrow, and Enson definitely clipped him. Enson is still in danger, but just like that, Heath lets go, and the men jostle with small strikes before Herring pulls away and stands up. Enson is a bit slow to stand himself. Straight kicks by both men to little avail, punches by both men as they meet and clinch, and Enson makes the terrible decision to try and muscle the 40 pounds heavier Herring down. Enson thus falls, and Herring is on top again in full guard this time. In a comical tit for tat, Herring will punch the body, and Enson replies with a punch to the head. Then Heath again, then Enson again. It's fucking hilarious. Steady work by Herring. There you go, Heath. Beat his ass, says his corner. Nice hammer punches by Herring, and Enson isn't doing much to stop. Heath strikes, and he might be tired. Enson pulls his legs up for position, and then Herring goes to maybe pass guard. He moves to the side control, and Enson barely puts up a fight. Herring pulls his legs back and unloads a knee to Enson's head, then 2 more, and the ref looked ready to stop the fight. But then Herring goes for knees to the body, and whatever the ref sees, he doesn't like it, and he waves the fight off. Enson looks utterly confused. The crowd is definitely confused.
No, he is strong. He's got a very good base. Knee to the head again.
The knee, those are hard knees, boss.
Yes.
Hard knees. He's not going to want to take a lot of those. No knee to the body.
Heath is introducing himself.
The fight is over. Looks like the referee has stopped the fight from repeated punishment. Wow. Heath Herring in control from the top, side mount position, dropping knee after knee onto the head of...
I am confused. I have no idea what the hell just happened.
Herring stands victorious, winner via TKO at 4 minutes and 31 seconds of the first round. I did tweet at Enson to see his thoughts on this stoppage, if he wondered what the hell was happening, if he thought it was just, but he never tweeted me back, unfortunately. He'll probably tweet me back, but not in time. Wow. He usually does. He takes a couple days to tweet.
All right. So we'll put it in the comments.
Yeah. Boss thinks it was a good call, saying that Enson wasn't defending. And no, he wasn't.
But I think it was he was not defending. All the knees were a hit, and the referee said, this is a sport. Let's not take it to the extreme. Go home and remember your name.
Herring gets a small glass butt plug as a trophy, and we are off to the next fight. Good vibe! Thoughts on Inoue versus Herring?
It was a quick fight. I mean, the fact that he got stopped surprised the fuck out of me, because I was like, why is it getting stopped? I mean, I knew he was getting hit, but you've seen worse, and they never gotten stopped before.
Yeah.
So that was kind of off. But I mean, at the same time, it's one of those things where the fight so far already showed us who was gonna win. I mean, I don't think there would have been a reversal of any fucking kind.
No.
I think if he might have lasted longer, but he would have lost regardless.
And I can't confirm this, but I wonder if it was an abundance of caution, considering that Enson probably had concussions from his fight with Igor, where Igor destroyed him.
Yeah.
So I just wonder if the ref was under direction because of a doctor notice or something like that, that if he starts getting really hit hard to the head, you got to get in there and stop it, because he's gonna have scrambled eggs for brains.
I mean, it may make sense and stuff like that. It's just weird because there was never an explanation. It was just all of a sudden, and the funniest part is it didn't get stopped after the hits to the head.
Right.
It got stopped after the hits to the body.
Yeah.
And that's the part that made it really weird, because I'm like, okay, two knees to the side. Okay, why are we stopping it?
Yeah. I really like Enson Inoue. I think he's an entertaining, aggressive fighter, always puts on a good show, but I think at this point Heath would be more than what most men in the sport could handle, especially Enson. It was a good fight, but I wasn't too surprised at the result. So what would become of our two hyped up hookers here? Heath Herring will be back in short order for Pride 13 Collision Course, where Denis Sobolev, random Russian bear wrestler, will attempt to stop the crazy horse. As for Enson, while this won't be his last Pride appearance, it's pretty close. We'll only get to see Enson once more in Pride after this, which will happen at Pride 19. Say it with me now. Bad Blood.
Bad Blood.
Where Enson will take on Minotauro Nogueira. Dope! That should be an interesting fight. We'll see you boys then! Fight number 4 on the card features Carlos Newton back after a short layoff, taking on returner/newcomer Johil de Oliveira. We've never seen him though. Confused? I'll explain in a bit. Carlos Newton was 24 years old and had a record of 8-3. Johil, who's from Brazil, was 31 years old and had a record of 12-3-1. Carlos Newton is back, last appearing at Pride 9, where he dispatched my fave, Yuhi Sano, in 40 seconds via armbar. Since then, 6 months' time, he hasn't fought at all. Now he's going to be taking on a formidable Brazilian. But just who is Johil de Oliveira? Born on August 7th, 1969 in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, Johil is a luta livre disciple alongside Marco Ruas and Hugo Duarte. Johil started his fight career in the 90s, debuting for Gaisei Challenge Valley Tudo in July of 94 against Paulo de Jesus, where he would choke out de Jesus in under a minute. After losing his second fight a year later against Crisio de Souza, Johil went on a tear in Brazil. Brazil?
Brazil? Is that the new place? Is that what it's called?
Where it's all
because they're all bros.
Yes.
It's the perfect spring break destination. Brazil.
Johil went on a tear in Brazil where he went 10-0-1 over the next 2 years until he faced off against Valid Ismail at IVC 3 in December of 97. Valid would defeat Johil after 9 minutes due to strikes. Since December 97 until Pride 12 here, that's 3 years, Johil has only fought twice. Once at IVC 5 in April of 98, a decision win against Daryl Golar. I think it's Gho-Lar.
Is he from the nation of Brazil?
Yes.
Jesus Christ, man.
And at IVC 11 in April of 99, a decision loss against Jose Landy Johns. Well, there was supposed to be one more fight. Remember how I said Johil was returning / newcomer? Well, here's the story. Johil was scheduled to fight at Pride 9 in June of 2000 against Matt Serra. This is a missing fight I brought up in episode 11. A pyrotechnic accident during Johil's entrance caused him to get burned and forced him out of the fight. Sad considering that Matt Serra would never come back to Pride. This would actually be Johil's second attempt at a Pride fight. And so officially this would be Johil's first fight outside of Japan here at Pride 12. Odd bit of pre-fight interview, and either this was originally on a DVD or the rip got fucked up, as Carlos has his opinion of the upcoming fight fast-forwarded through.
Spider, do you plan on dictating the fight?
Can I let my coach answer that?
So we don't get to hear what he has to say. Kind of weird. In the ring, Carlos Newton is all dressed up with nowhere to go, sporting slacks, a suit coat, and sunglasses. He has a bit of a hard time getting out of his jacket. Luta Livre versus Jiu-Jitsu, I guess.
And it's going to be Luta Livre versus Jiu-Jitsu, boss.
Carlos Newton is Jiu-Jitsu? In fact, Johil is wearing trunks very similar to the Pedros. So those must be the official Luta Livre team trunks.
I want the official team trunks. I'll wear them to recordings.
You'll represent Luta Livre?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
If I can
Because if there's something I should represent, it's clearly a fucking martial art.
If I can find those trunks, I'll get them. If we ever do like a round table or like a video, you'll be in those. That'll be great. Round 1. Slapping kick by Johil starts us off, then 2 successive kicks, then more by Johil. Newton sticks to dancing around. Another low kick attempt gets caught by Newton, and he spins Johil down to the mat, landing in full guard. Carlos works the body, and Johil does his best to keep him close. Steady groundwork by both that goes on for about 2 minutes. Then Newton starts to posture up, and then tries it to pass, and has a very hard fight to get side control, but it never materializes. And then Johil goes for an Achilles ankle pull. But Newton avoids it and is constant scrambling by both men that gets a round of applause from the crowd.
Carlos is going to fall for that.
No, he already peeled the other leg off, so it's going to be difficult to lug it out.
And he's susceptible to his own left leg, to a heel hook. Oh. A lot of scrambling here on the ground. Looks like Carlos is thinking about a knee bar, but no, he goes back to half guard.
Beautiful movement. It's a great fight.
Newton is in half guard, and then Johil attempts the Achilles pull again. Newton pushes out, and now both men get to their feet.
I was gonna and I don't know if this is the exact moment, so you can splice it in whenever.
No,
so
thanks.
while they're down on the mat, Boss and Quadros are talking about Carlos and what he likes, and one of them says he likes to finish this via KO.
You know, Johil, he mentioned that his favorite finish is the KO.
I don't know why. I heard he likes to finish this via RKO. And then they got up, and I'm like, I'm going to see an RKO out of nowhere.
That's good. I'll have to find that.
Can't look at Randy Orton slithering.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out.
Let's see. There's a brief break so Johil can fix his glove. Missing overhand right by Johil, then a jab and straight by Newton, and then Johil shoots in, taking Newton to the mat. Now he's on top. Newton has butterfly guard and then uses it to turn Johil over, and Newton is in side control, 5 minutes down in round 1. Johil improves, getting Carlos Newton down into half guard, but not a whole lot of work here from either man, as the ref calls for action!
Newton on top.
I always love those calls for action.
Yes. A very technical grappling match, says Quadros. Carlos delivers some good punches, and Johil's face is bleeding. Johil attempts to sweep and turn Newton, and very nearly gets it, but Newton manages to slip out and stand. Newton chooses to kneel at the end of Johil's feet, and Johil sticks him with the foot. Then Newton gets into side control. 3 minutes left in round 1. Newton goes for mount, but gets pushed down and is now kneeling at the end of Johil's feet. Johil smacks him, and Newton dives in, getting side control. Johil then manages to get Newton to half guard once again. Newton works the head and is back in half guard. Now 1 minute remains in round 1. There's more scrambling, but the round ends here with nothing very notable happening.
I mean, so far Carlos has had control of the match.
Yes. Quadros points out the grotesque forehead scars of Johil, noting that that is what happens from headbutts. And I can't believe I didn't notice them before, but they're all boiled up in fucking... I don't know if it was like that before the fight, but his...
I really wasn't paying attention until they got called out. That's the thing is,
yeah.
He's
got like boils. It's fucking gross, man. Holy shit. To this, Boss brings up a couple Thai boxers that he knows who are in attendance.
Johil to Oliveira. You can see the scar tissue from some previous headbutts. The problem with the headbutt, if you don't headbutt high on the head, you can cut yourself.
Oh, yeah. I have another guy from Holland who's actually here in the audience. It's Ramon Dekker, who's one of the greatest Thai boxers ever, was the first one who beat the Thais in their home turf, in the Lumpini Stadium, in the Rajadam Stadium. And he's got a face like this too. He's got a lot of scars from all the elbows he received. And actually we got Rob Kamen also in the audience. Also a very known Thai boxer. Also one of the first people that went to Thailand and did everything.
Round 2! Johil gets off first with a spinning heel kick that misses. Newton pushes forward with a left, right, then kick, none of which connect. Johil flies in and gets Newton to the mat. He's in Newton's guard. Measured work from Johil, which goes on for about 2 minutes before Carlos nearly springs an armbar on Johil, who decides to stand up. Newton casually stands himself, nearly getting kicked in the face on his way up. Johil immediately shoots in again for a double leg. They hit the ropes. He pushes forward and gets Newton down onto his knees, but Newton cranks for a half guillotine. Johil fights his way out, and both men stand. Another shoot in by Johil, but Newton sprawls and gets away. The men trade in the center of the ring. Johil tries a kick and gets tripped up. Carlos gets down into half guard, attacks the head, then body work. This goes on for about 2 minutes, taking us past the 5-minute mark. Another minute passes, and I'm wondering where the ref is, as Newton is active, but he's not doing much damage or even threatening with anything. 3 minutes now remain in round 2. Another minute passes, and finally the ref halts the fighters to stand them up. And then, ouch, Newton gets a yellow card, likely for stalling, as Quadros is confused, like I am.
It's good. It's a good thing.
It's very good.
You know, there wasn't a lot of action, not a lot of activity. Nobody's really going for anything.
That's what I say. Nobody's trying to pass the card, and a yellow card, but for what?
they're getting a yellow card. A yellow card is a warning. If you get 3 yellow cards, you get disqualified. I'm not sure who got the yellow card. Or maybe was it 2 yellow cards?
If a yellow card was given to both men, I understand, but just given to Newton is kind of strange.
I don't think that's strange because, like I said, Newton has been the one in control.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's given no quarter at that. I mean, he hasn't done anything to advance or to try to win. So I would definitely give him the yellow card. I wouldn't give it to both people.
Yeah, but if you give it to Newton, why wouldn't you give it to the guy who is just laying on the ground, not doing anything too? I mean, that would be funny though. The guy who's dominating the fight, the ref stops the fight to give a yellow card to the guy who's getting his ass kicked.
Yeah, exactly why you wouldn't. Honestly, it's because he's getting his ass kicked. It's understandable that he wants, like, he's gonna take any break he can get.
Right.
But the match is being set by Carlos, and yeah, he's the one that should get the card. I see no problem there.
This is a trademark rule of future Pride events where yellow cards will be used to penalize stalling or lack of activity. After the restart, there's a slugging right by Johil, then a kick, and Newton tries to strike back. Johil thinks about a takedown but gets blocked, a knee by Newton, and then Johil replies. 1 minute left now, and there's a leg kick by Johil, then he tries his slugging right again, but Newton ducks, grabs, and spins Johil down to the mat. Newton manages to pass the guard. He gets in a north-south position. The freaky mount. Been a while, but he's there for only a second before he winds up in a very high side guard. Newton maybe tries for an arm, but gives it up, and Newton stands. Newton gets back into guard, and then the bell rings. 2 10-minute rounds are done, and we'll go to the judges to find out our result. Boss, for his part, thinks Newton won it. But what do the judges think?
Yep.
The judges have ruled the winner of this match from the UK, Carlos Newton!
Carlos Newton declared winner via decision after 2 rounds. Newton is announced as being from the UK, which confuses Boss.
Did I hear this right? Did they say from the UK? Is he from England?
Good vibe. Your take on Newton versus Johil.
Once again, this is not one of those fights that I find interesting because it was not even. It was not an even match. It wasn't a back and forth. It was Carlos riding his way to victory, and like it's not at any point in time you could not like if like at every point in the match, you know that had it gone to decision at that point in the match, Carlos would have won. Never did it you think, oh, this is gonna be a tie. Oh, Carlos is gonna lose. No, not at all. It's the entire fucking match, and it's a combination of both. One, I don't like it when it's on the ground and not much action, and 2, I don't like it when it's just completely one-sided. So to me, this was not a good match at all.
Yeah, this was mostly a grappling match with intermittent striking. Not my cup of tea either. It wasn't a bad fight, but it dragged at times, and there was a serious lack of effort by either man to go for a finish. So, what would become of our 2 firecrackers here? We won't see Newton again until Pride 19, Bad Blood, in February of 2012, where he will take on the aforementioned Jose Landy Johns. As for Johil, he will be back at Pride 14, Clash of the Titans, in May of 2001, where he'll take on Nino Elvis Chambry, 1996 Brazilian national champion in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, who will be making his MMA debut. With 4 fights down and 5 to go, it's about time we take a short interlude so we can go play some video games. So, won't you come join us?
Welcome to Intermission.
Alright, today, fans, we're going to be playing Blood Warrior.
Oh, blood. That's a lot of blood, man.
I should have saved this for Pride Bad Blood.
Oh my god.
Is that a Ninja Turtle?
Dude, that's Honda from Street Fighter. He got himself some weapons.
This guy's got lightsabers.
And no, this is not a Ninja Turtle. This is a gremlin, and a Ninja Turtle had sex and therefore had a kid. In Gremlins 2, listeners, there's that one that wears a dress.
Yeah.
Now we know it was a girl. And then you have this guy.
Yeah, this is fitting. This is like a pure Japanese. Oh, that's it. They picked for us. Yo! This is a cheap Mortal Kombat ripoff. Whoa, you got fucking long hair?
Yeah.
I got lightsabers.
Oh, what the hell? That's not even fair.
Whoa, what the fuck? Oh shit. Look at the drunk ladies in the back. Where did they find those girls?
He even, like, this guy even electrocutes.
Oh shit.
Look at that.
Nice.
I'm raving up in here, bitch.
That's like the last boss of Revenge of Shinobi for Sega Genesis. Oh, fuck you.
Oh,
yeah. You fucking...
Shake that tit. I whip my hair
bastard.
back and forth. I whip my hair back and forth.
You rat bastard. Here we go. Get him, slice him with the fucking lightsabers.
Oh.
Oh yeah. Fucking the blood is flowing now. Woo-hoo. Oh, look at that.
What the hell?
Look at all that blood. I am fucking pissed.
What the hell was that? The hell was that?
The fucking blood in this is so cheap. This is one of the most pathetic Mortal Kombat clones. But
By the way, I want to... Oh, one second. Don't come at me. Right next to our faces, since we both lost one, there's like an angry face.
Yeah, like an angry ninja. This plays well though. It's not.
It does.
You know, it's not like Way of the Warrior, which was for the 3DO. That was just a fuck. What the fuck is going on here? What did I just do?
I don't know.
Oh my god, this is fucked up.
Yeah.
You can finish me. You gotta do your special maneuver.
What is the special maneuver?
Oh, you just did. What the fuck? Oh my god. I'm coming back in. Here we go. We gotta go again.
Oh. 1 second.
I guess you have. What the fuck? I played this game. Kinshiro? Oh shit! Look at that.
He's a samurai.
Oh no, I'm not playing. Here I go.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, that's what intrusion means.
I'm gonna play the fucking Ninja
Wait.
Turtle Senpai. You have.
I have to play the same guy.
Yes.
Jesus Christ! Does he have like a freaking like a pie plate?
Oh my god, this is.
Oh my god! What?
He's
fucking
like
saying here, motherfucker.
Yeah, he's like dowsing.
Dowsing, motherfucker.
What the fuck did I just do there? Oh my god!
No, I'm bleeding.
This game is fucking terrible. Oh my god!
No!
That's fucking hilarious.
That is the cheapest character there is. Look at that! Look at that Godzilla motherfucker. Godzilla fucking
Oh fuck me! This is awesome. This is fucking great. They don't make games like this anymore.
Oh my god! You make it through the entire. What?
Oh fuck you.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he is cheap with his fucking long ass. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, look at the.
Shishimaru. Oh, look at my sexy butt. I just showed my butt.
Come on, senpai. Get him. Hit him with the fucking barf, the blue barf that you got.
No.
Get him. Fucking smash. Oh yeah, vomit on him. Blow the flames of fucking justice. Fuck you. This is not going to... Yes, get him. No!
Yes!
Fuck!
We are the champions,
Finish him.
my friend.
Oh, you missed.
Oh. No, I didn't.
What
No, I
the fuck was
didn't.
that?
I didn't miss. I never miss. Oh, look at that sexy bastard. Oh, was that a 2-0?
You're the champion.
Oh.
We got to get back.
Oh.
and our second half's about to begin.
Fight number 5 of the evening sees returning Wanderlei Silva taking on newcomer Dan Hollywood Henderson. Wanderlei was 24 years old at the time, and his record coming into this fight was 13-3 and 1 no contest. As for Hendo, he hails from the USA, was 30 years old at the time, and he had a record of 9-0. Wanderlei is back after a no contest in his match against Gilbert Ivel, where Wanderlei put the hurt on Gilbert's pork pole. But just who is this Dan Henderson fellow? Born in Downey, California, Dan grew up in the most dangerous man alive today's birthplace, Apple Valley. I don't think I've ever met him though. In high school, Dan was a notable Greco-Roman wrestler, placing second in the 87 state wrestling championships and then fifth in 1988. Also in 1988, he was the California State Junior Freestyle Champion. After high school, he wrestled for both Cal State Fullerton and Arizona State University. In 1991, he was the University National Champion. And then he qualified for and represented the USA in the 92 Summer Games, where he placed 10th overall. In 1996, Dan once again qualified and represented America in the Olympic Summer Games, this time placing 12th overall. In 94 and 97, he appeared at the World Wrestling Championships, placing 12th in 94 and 7th in 97. He also won the bronze in the 95 Pan American Games. All this wrestling acumen would lead Dan not into pro wrestling, but MMA, and in 97 he would debut at the Brazilian Open 97 in June of 97. Featuring several weight class tournaments, Dan would win the lightweight tournament, first by beating Crazio de Souza via TKO after 5 minutes, and then Eric Smith via standing guillotine after only 30 seconds. A year later, after the Brazil Open, Dan went to UFC 17 in May of 98 for the middleweight tournament, where he is able to claim victory after first defeating Alan Goes via decision and then Carlos Newton, also via decision. Another year off, and then came the massive Rings King of Kings Tournament 99, with opening rounds held on October 28th of 1999. Dan was entered into the A block of the tournament and beat his first 2 opponents, Bakori Gogitidze, that's pretty close, and then Hiromitsu Kanehara via decision. On February 26th of 2000, the finals of the King of Kings 99 tournament would be held, and Dan would dispatch of 3 opponents that night, but all via decision. First Gilbert Ivel, then Minotauro Nogueira, and finally Renato Sobral, thus becoming the King of Kings for 1999. Since then, Henderson has not fought at all, and that brings us here to Pride 12. The intense stare of Wanderlei Silva. The cameraman focuses in on it, and it's already becoming a folk legend in Japan, as the crowd once again nearly creams itself from excitement when the stare down in the center of the ring happens.
Okay, Wanderlei Silva. Oh, this guy is very intense. He's very focused here. Look at those eyes, boss.
Man.
And here's the stare down. It doesn't look like Henderson's buying into it. He's kind of smiling, thinking, okay. Wanderlei's thinking, boss, this is going to be a war. Look at this.
Dan, for his part, is pretty chill about it, with a little smirk on his face. You have any thoughts? Nope, no more bullshit. Let's do it. Round one.
All right, I do have one thought. No. What? You asked me if I had any thoughts and then interrupted me before I could give you my fucking thought.
All right,
Jesus Christ on a candlestick, asshole.
All right,
Jesus.
I getcha.
Anyway, my thought was, I looked at these two guys, and the only thought I had in the entire time they're facing off, at the before the match started, is who has the weirder face?
Oh yeah, Dan. He's a Native American, I
because
believe.
he has his
nose
is completely straight, and then you of course have Silva, who's Silva. Yeah. So I couldn't. I'm like, who has?
Dan has a pretty weird looking head structure. He's got like a pretty big chin. His nose, it's kind of goofy looking. But yeah, no, I don't think.
We'll hold it up for you, listeners. You can vote. Who has the stranger face in this match?
All right, now no more bullshitting. Round one, the men.
Wait, now I have something else.
Oh, you fuck.
I don't. I just wanted to interrupt you. Fuck you.
The men immediately do not engage, but that changes as soon as Henderson steps in and gets rocked by a barrage from Silva. Henderson goes down and Silva tries to pounce, but gets stuck in Henderson's guard. Silva works the body, then slaps the back of the head. Dan holds on tight, occasionally throwing a punch. Quadro says that Dan doesn't think Silva is that good on the ground because he has never submitted anyone. And Boss counters by saying, because he's never going for it.
Well, Henderson said that Wanderlei is tough on his feet. Obviously, we saw that earlier. But he did say that his Wanderlei Silva's ground game was questionable, that he had never submitted anyone.
Yeah, because he's never going for it. He just tries to knock out people, but...
Henderson perhaps goes for an armbar and Silva explodes up to his feet. He kicks Dan's legs and Dan replies by kicking Silva, then eats some hard ones from Silva. Silva keeps it up for nearly a minute before he switches to trying to stomp Dan's ankles. Dan tries to kick the body and Silva briefly catches it. Silva keeps on attacking the legs before the ref comes in and lets Dan stand up. After the stand-up, Dan flies in with a right, the men clinch, and then Silva with wild punches, clipping Dan with a good right. But he is little phased as he tries to strike back, just missing Silva with a swinging right of his own. Somehow, Wanderlei is bleeding over his left eye. Then, Henderson rifles in with a right hand that has Silva reeling, and suddenly, he's on rubbery legs. Henderson pounds away with close rights, and Silva clinches but nearly collapses, so Henderson helps him down to the mat. He falls in Silva's guard and continues to try and smash Silva, who has no time to recover.
Was that from a punch? Oh, right hand by Henderson! Good right hand! Wanderlei is hurt! Henderson chopping away! A good right hand, Henderson on top! Henderson turning the action around, blasting away, Dan Henderson on top.
He is doing a great job, just when I said that.
Silva smears blood all over the men's body 5 minutes down, and Silva's left eyebrow looks to be very mangled, but maybe I'm seeing things. We'll find out shortly as the ref halts the belt to bring in the doctor. I'm wrong, as the eyebrow is just very swollen. Quadros calls Henderson's a Rocky Marciano right hand.
You know, you mentioned that Dan Henderson could box a little bit. That right hand was a Rocky Marciano right hand.
The doctor says it's okay to continue, and the ref gets the fighters back in the same position. Silva is now more refreshed, and he punches away at Henderson's head. Henderson tries to pass the side guard, but gets spun up to his feet, and Silva stands up, though Henderson tries to kill his face with a glancing right. The men trade rights, then clinch. Silva knees, left by Silva, right by Henderson, 2 rights by Silva, then Henderson is forced to shoot for the legs, gets stuffed, and he is on his hands and knees. Silva knees him in the top of the head. The ref immediately comes in to stop this. Henderson grabs the top of his head, but the replay on the Videotron shows a whoopsie. He might be bullshitting, as the knee clearly missed hitting him. Before the men can resume the fight, the ref demands them to shake hands, which they do.
Okay, what was that about? Like, why demand that they shake hands? They're fighting right now.
Right.
Just let him goddamn fight. I never got that. That was weird as all hell.
Yes, it's like, you guys must shake hands to show that you're ready to kill each other. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
No.
On the restart, vintage Silva! To quote Michael Cole, who swings away. The men clinch, and as Dan tries to respond with a punch, Silva nails him with an overhand right. Henderson backs away, and Silva follows him, hitting him again with a left, but his right misses. Dan falls to the mat, then goes for Silva's legs, and Silva surprises me by managing to stay standing. Henderson goes to the mat on his knees, then tries to pull guard, but Silva is inside control. Silva rains down punches, and Dan manages to get somewhat of a guard position, but Silva still reaches him with punches, and then just misses with a soccer kick to the head, which awes the crowd.
Oh, yeah, he did a good job.
But he doesn't want to catch a knee to the chin when they slug. Wanderlei's ready to go. Wanderlei coming in. Right hand by Wanderlei Silva. Dan shooting in. Good defense there by Wanderlei Silva to the takedown. Wanderlei sprawling back.
Don't do it again. He didn't do it again.
And Dan trying to pull guard. Dan inside. Oops. Dan's got the guard now. But Wanderlei pounding down right through the guard. Wanderlei trying to...
Silva is standing out, and Dan is on his back. Kicks again by Silva to Dan's legs. 3 minutes remain in round 1, and Silva again tries to kick Dan's head before falling down into Hendo's guard. Boss talks dirty fight tactics, saying that it would be bad for Silva if Henderson realized he could use his glove to push open Silva's cut.
Henderson could do, maybe not a nice thing to do, but he could start pushing the eye and open it up with his gloves.
Fucking dirty bastard. Silva postures up and drills Dan a couple times with lefts. Then Dan manages to push him away with his little kicking feet. Silva is on his feet. He kicks at Dan, then stomps on Dan's face before falling down in the mat. What the fuck?
Jesus Christ, sir.
I know, I'm all fucked up right now. I haven't drank in a while. Before falling down into mount. There's 1 minute left now, and Henderson dodges and tries to block a continuous barrage by Silva, but Henderson looks to be weathering the storm. Silva then stands over Dan and stomps his head twice, but is admonished for holding the ropes as he does. Silva takes a short breather and then tries one more stomp just before the bell rings, ending round 1. Boss thinks Henderson is really hurt and Silva is fresher and having fun. God, what a guy, he said.
Oh, Dan is hurt. He's falling back into his corner while Wanderlei looks fresh, smiling, real confident. God, man, what a guy.
Oh, and I'm just noticing it now, but I love the 90s royalty-free music that Pride uses in between the rounds. This is iconic Pride.
I mean, I will say this about the first round, and it actually surprised me because up until this point, there really wasn't anyone that was amazing at it. Is Silva has really good offense against laying down opponents.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know, we've seen them before, and nobody had a real good answer against them. I mean, you have Sakuraba do his stomps and stuff like that he figured after a couple fights, but even they are not that good. Every time Silva had him on the ground, his kicks were on point.
I think even on his back, off his back, at this point in time, he's really good. He's always active. He's going for punches. He's always trying to move.
Yeah.
All around, Silva's probably, I know Sakuraba is the best fighter in Pride at the time, but Wanderlei is a close, second.
Oh, definitely. Because, I mean, like you said, is they've been on the ground for a very long period of time, but they've never been still. And for fights that have gone on the ground like this, there is a lot of striking. It is surprising and it's awesome, but it is really surprising because it's not what you're used to. You know, you're used to when people are on the ground, they're trying to set up a some sort of hold or whatever. These guys are just beating the shit out of each other.
Round 2. Silva walks Dan towards the ropes, and both men simultaneously strike. Dan with a right, Silva with a left, and then they flail at each other, and Silva whiffs away as Dan is backed into the corner as they clinch. The men battle it out in the corner with Dan holding a Muay Thai clinch and kneeing, and then Silva holding Dan's neck and slugging away. Then Henderson explodes forward with punches, and the men trade fiercely before Dan surprises everyone with a shoot, but Silva sprawls and holds him down. Dan pulls guard and Silva stands briefly before deciding to go into the guard position. Silva works punches and Dan just looks to hold on here. Quadros and Boss both complain about Silva going into guard, and Quadros says, well, maybe he has a trick up his sleeve, to which Boss jokingly says, but he's not wearing a shirt.
Yeah, it's strange. Wanderlei never should have done this.
He might be trying a different game plan because maybe he's got something up his sleeve that we don't know.
Yes.
He's chopping away.
He's not wearing a shirt. That is a joke. You got nothing on the sleeve. Anyway,
got it, boss.
Silva decides to pull away and stands as Dan tries to kick him, and Silva is looking a bit like Skeletor. He chops away at Dan's legs, and surprisingly, these kicks haven't been able to pay any dividends yet, as Dan's movement, especially in his last shoot-in, was still pretty crisp. Silva tries for an axe kick, and he is blocked by Henderson's outstretched foot, and Silva momentarily hits the mat but is right back up. The ref comes over to stand Henderson up, and it looks like Henderson's left ear is bleeding. He has very bad cauliflower ear, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was exasperated in this fight. Henderson goes for a right, but is met by a counter from Silva that more so hits him in the neck. And then Dan tries for the legs, gets a single, but loses it, and then he pulls guard, going to his back as Silva is still standing. The ref quickly decides to step in and stand Henderson up, and Henderson is somewhat slow to stagger to his feet. As Henderson rips off a right, Silva is already kicking him and hits him in the side. Dan immediately backpedals as Silva rushes forward. Dan awkwardly falls to guard position and hits the corner, and Silva dives down to get into his guard. Unnoteworthy work by Silva, and the ref comes over to reposition our fighters out of the corner. We're now 5 minutes down in round 2, and after the restart, Silva lays on top of Henderson and doesn't do much for about a minute. And then the ref comes over to stand the fighters up, and Henderson definitely doesn't like it. The ref gives both men a yellow card for stalling. Dan uncorks a missing overhand right, the future Hendo bomb, as Silva kicks the body. Dan then throws a left jab, countered by Silva, and Dan flails forward as he attempts to punch. They hit the ropes. Silva grabs him, takes him down to the mat, and Silva is in half guard. Jeez, Silva's eyebrow is fucking huge right now. It looks super ridiculous.
I mean, let's be honest. His face has always had like the big lump. It's always been a big lumpy face. Mm-hmm. So I think this just makes it look even worse. Even though it's probably, I mean, it's bad, mind you, but I think the way his face is makes it look worse.
Yes. Where was I? 3 minutes left in round 2. Silva works to get mount, and he succeeds, getting his foot free. Silva doesn't immediately posture up, instead laying low and trying to punch Henderson's partially shielded head. Boss implores him to sit up. The ref intervenes again to turn our fighters out of the corner. Silva slaps Dan in the side of the head, then punches the body. We're down to just 1 minute now. Boss Rutan sounds frustrated, questioning why Silva doesn't posture up.
1 minute. Why wouldn't he push himself out and go?
You know, Dan Henderson needs a near miracle to win this fight.
We're back in the corner now, and Silva keeps up his marginal work of the body and head. And then the bell rings, signaling the end of round 2, and likely our fight. Quadros is positive Silva is the winner, and Boss agrees. We'll go to the judges to learn our result, which is...
Okay, no surprise to us. Wanderlei Silva by unanimous decision over Dan Henderson. To Dan's credit,
Wanderlei Silva, winner via decision after 2 rounds. Good vibe. Thoughts on Silva versus Henderson?
Good match. It's a lot like this, Akira match earlier tonight, where it was an even match. You know, they went back and forth, and like I said, they stayed active even when they were on the ground. They kept on moving around. They kept trying to a lot of strikes, which is what I like. Like I said, a lot of those holds takes way too long to try to set up, and usually leads to nothing. So you got 4 or 5 minutes of a fucking round just wasted. Not in this match, and so I liked it. I mean, it was a really good match as well.
It had a great pace, and that's kind of why it tapered off in the final minutes of round 2, so I can understand that. But other than that, they had a really high pace. This could have been an amazing, stellar fight. It turned out not so much, but I still liked it. It had moments where it was amazing, action was going on, and then moments at the end there where kind of nothing happened.
I mean, but it's understandable that at the end there was nothing happening, because at the beginning there was a lot happening. So it's a give and take on that one.
It will, and I have this mentioned here, not to spoil anything, but just wait and see until they have a rematch. So, what would become of our 2 future prized Pride fighters here? Both men will be back at Pride 13 Collision Course, where Wanderlei will draw Kazushi Sakuraba in the main event, and Dan Henderson will draw a returning Henzo Gracie. We'll see you boys then. We'll see you.
rising stars in the fight world. After your fight with Fujita, if you win, who would you like to fight? Anybody. Pick anybody.
Mike Tyson. No hold bars rules. I take him to the ground, do a leg lock.
Oh, you'll submit Mike Tyson.
So I don't go out and try to trade punches with him. That's not smart. But I think when I fight Mike Tyson, it's going to be a lot of money. So it's pretty smart, yeah.
Fujita Kazuyuki 選手の入場です。In the red corner, from Japan, Kazuyuki Fujita!
Okay, here he comes, boss. Kazuyuki Fujita. Now, this guy epitomizes the spirit of Japanese pro wrestling. Really, really doing well in real mixed martial art fights. He's an Inoue disciple, and the crowd here is just crazy about this guy.
Oh, you gotta love this guy. Fought two of the best fighters in the world. Beat them. Nice guy, humble guy, got a lot of heart. Unbelievable, man. Like we see before, but I told you before, we have the pro wrestlers, and they're coming into the Pride, and they're kicking ass, man. They're doing great.
Yeah, well said. You know, Fujita is undefeated in mixed martial arts. He beat Hans Nyman, he beat Ken Shamrock, he beat Mark Kerr, and he's in for a tough one tonight with Gilbert Ivel. It's probably no secret what his game plan is going to be. He's going to want to take Ivel down and then keep him down on the ground.
Yep, that's the whole game plan. And Gilbert worked on the takedown defense.
Fight 6 of the evening sees a returning Kazuyuki Fujita taking on a returning Gilbert Ivel. Fujita was 30 years old at the time and had a record of 5-1. As for Ivel, he was 24 years old and had a record of 23-1 and 1 no contest. Fujita is back after weathering the Ken Shamrock storm just long enough until Ken suffered a heart incident. As for Ivel, he's back after his fight with Wanderlei Silva was cut short after the foul heard round the world. Pre-fight, Eddie Bravo asks Ivel who he would like to fight if he wins. He says Mike Tyson. In the ring, Ivel looking ridiculous with suspenders and a top hat. What is going on here? There was no walkout, so I didn't get to see if he had more of this getup on. So I would have liked to seen it. But Fujita's walkout is included, and the crowd eats it up. Boss Rutan sings Fujita's praises, saying he is a nice guy, a humble guy.
I love this guy. Fought two of the best fighters in the world. Beat them. Nice guy, humble guy, got a lot of heart. Unbelievable, man. Like we see before, but I told you before, we have the pro wrestlers, and they're coming into the Pride, and they're kicking ass, man. They're doing great.
Don Frye comes out to the ring with Fujita and will be his cornerman.
I was surprised by that, by the way.
What?
That Don Frye was his cornerman. No, honestly, like, and well, it's not really much of a spoiler, but once the fight starts, one of the first things that catches my attention is that his corner's speaking English.
Yeah, can Fujita understand?
Well, apparently, if he's fucking screaming English, I would assume so. But it just catches me. It's one of those things that's kind of weird, you know. I know he understands English, because why else would you yell it? But how comfortable is he with it? Because during a fight, it's not like you can concentrate and be like, I'm going to translate this. No, get someone in your native language and fucking have them yell at you.
Yeah, I think Don Frye at this time was pro wrestling. He was doing some Japanese pro wrestling stuff, and so that's how he kind of got mingled in with Fujita.
Yeah.
And then Don Frye, Fujita decided he wanted to try MMA, and so Fujita...
No, and I understand all that. It's just really weird that your corner is yelling English when your native language is not.
Quadro says that Fujita's game plan will be to not stand up with Ivel, because we saw what happens when you do with Gary Goodridge.
Gonna find out real soon now.
You know, the game plans are probably simple. Fujita doesn't want to stand up with Ivel. We saw what Gilbert Ivel did with Gary Goodridge with one kick. He knocked him completely out.
Ivel's corner necks with him, and we are ready to fight. Very weird kissing going on in Ivel's corner. Round 1! Fujita very spastic as he feints several takedown attempts, and he gets lucky as Ivel loses his footing, and now Fujita has a hold of him. Ivel tries to tee off, and Fujita drives in for the hips, managing to get Ivel down, but we're stuck in the corner, and the men fight for control as Ivel tries to stand, and Fujita tries to keep him down. Ivel very nearly ends up falling through the ropes as several small Japanese hands are thrust up into his ass to keep him from falling out of the ring. Gilbert tries to stand again, but Fujita's on him like flies on shit, and there is no room for Ivel to move. Fujita is in side control, but isn't doing anything here besides holding Ivel down. Though he does try to go for mount at one point. Then he gets trapped in a half guard as he pushes Ivel towards the opposite corner. Instead of standing the fighters up, the ref stops and turns them away from the corner. Also, I don't think I've heard a single call for action so far, despite Fujita barely doing anything. So extreme bias is being shown here, I feel.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, Fujita's not terribly losing. So
Yeah.
that's a hell of an improvement.
Yeah. I doubt Fujita will get a yellow card like the previous fighters for stalling. In fact, Ivel will probably be the one to get the yellow card, and Fujita will get a medal. The men have crisscrossed the ring again, and now Fujita goes for a Kimura, but he has trouble getting Ivel's arm to cooperate. Quadro says he don't think there will be a restart because Fujita is trying things.
I doubt they're going to have a restart because Fujita is busy. He's trying things, trying to make moves.
One Kimura attempt over 5 minutes doesn't count as trying things.
Clearly it does. Clearly it does.
I must have missed the 5-minute call, as there are now 3 minutes left as Fujita toys with the idea of another Kimura, but he's not even close to securing it. And I cannot believe it. There has not been a single call for action over 7 minutes from the ref. I have a feeling the ref was given very specific instructions before the start of the fight. Not much to report, fight fans, as we're down to 1 minute now in the same position with the same effort. Ivel kinda traps Fujita in an arm triangle, but other than that, nothing happens. The bell rings, ending round 1. Round 2! Fujita is 100% looking for a takedown as his stance telegraphs it. Ivel sticks him with a jab, and as Fujita thinks about the takedown, Ivel plugs him with a right, then a leg kick. Fujita shoots in, but Ivel sprawls, but it's not enough as Fujita gets him down momentarily. Then Ivel is back up, but Fujita still holds on, lifts him, and slams Ivel down to the mat. After a minute of the same slog as round 1, the ref comes in to merely reposition the fighters. Boss says he hopes we see a stand-up. Quadros says that Fujita just got over the German measles a month ago. Boss queries, he went to Germany?
Fujita just got over the German measles 1 month ago.
He went to Germany. It's just a joke, ladies and gentlemen. Please don't think that it's for real.
Yes, boss.
Yeah, it's like the trick up your sleeve. Huh?
Yes, boss.
What the fuck are the German measles? How is that different from any other measles?
I don't know.
Does it have you hating the Jews? I don't fucking know.
It was just a joke from Boss, and Quadros' response to this is fucking hilarious.
Yes, boss.
Fujita with a forearm on Ivel's throat. He throws some punches to the body, not much else. And oh my god, I just heard a call for action! Believe it or not, the first one of the fight. Wow, Fujita's ass sweat is a force to be reckoned with. Boss thinks it should be stood up, and Quadros now agrees with him.
I think they should stand it up now. I mean, there's nothing happening.
You know, I agree. The only thing that is happening is Fujita's trying to slide his right knee out so he can get in mounted position. And Gilbert's just hanging on.
Quadros better check himself as he brings up the previous fighter's yellow cards for inactivity. He wonders why they won't do it here.
They gave some of the other fighters a yellow card as a warning for inactivity, and I'm wondering why they don't do it here.
He wonders why. Why? I wonder why. Cue Inoue face. 5 minutes down, we're still here, and Boss is getting pissed off. And thank the Lord! The ref has seen fit to step in and stand the fighters up. And what do you know? Ivel gets the yellow card. LOL, that was awesome. 10 out of 10.
Jesus Christ.
On the restart, Ivel goes for a leaping knee that seems to connect. Fujita fails to get him down, and then Ivel charges in with another blazing knee that clonks Fujita in the head. But Fujita just powers through it and takes Ivel down.
Gilbert needs the jump knee by Ivel. He hurt Fujita. Another jump knee by Ivel. Blinding way. That's what he needed to do. He's got to get off the bottom.
He's in full guard. Quadros tells how doctors have said that Fujita has one of the thickest skulls they have ever seen, and his bones themselves are just unnaturally thick.
That the doctors have commented that he's got one of the thickest skulls that they have ever physically seen, and that's no joke.
I heard it. Yes,
they said his bones are unnaturally thick for a human being.
Yep.
The ref comes over and repositions the fighters. Boss and Quadros discuss the two knees, with Quadros saying that the first knee put him out and the second knee woke him back up.
The first shot flinched him a little bit because then he couldn't take him down, and then the second one he was already recovered.
Yeah,
he recovered like in 2 seconds, like Wolverine from the X-Men.
Maybe what he did was he might have stunned him with the first one, and then brought him back with the second one. Who knows?
He woke him up.
They woke him back up. Right? I've seen it happen.
3 minutes left now. Then 2 minutes. Then 1 minute. I don't see a stand-up happening, as even Quadros thinks it's too late for a restart to happen. And with that, the bell rings, ending round 2. And we're gonna go to the judges to learn the result. Guess what it is?
Okay, as we had predicted, Kazuyuki Fujita notching a relatively easy win over Gilbert Ivel.
Kazuyuki Fujita is the winner via decision after 2 rounds. We get a glimpse of one of the Overeem brothers in Ivel's corner after the fight, and I think it's the other Overeem brother. Good vibe. Any thoughts on this amazing fight.
An improvement for Fujita?
Improvement.
That really doesn't say much or mean much, but that's about as much as I can come up with. However, I will say this. This has been the fight I have learned the most.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
What have you learned?
Fujita has the thickest head ever.
Yes, that's right.
You missed that.
He's in full guard. Quadros tells how doctors have said that Fujita has one of the thickest skulls they have ever seen, and his bones themselves are just unnaturally thick. That Fujita, you motherfucker!
I did miss that. Yeah, no. So yes, this is the fight I've learned the most. But no, honestly, it was a good fight for Fujita. No. Let's hold the bar.
Yeah,
the bar
okay.
is down on the fucking ground.
Yes.
Because this is Fujita we got in the ring.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad fight for Fujita. Plain and simple.
Fujita's good at one thing, and that is getting abused.
But he didn't get that fully abused like he normally does.
No, exactly, yeah.
So it is a good fight for him. Which then, anytime this being Pride, anytime a fighter like Fujita doesn't get abused 100% of the time, makes me wonder.
Yeah. Well, no, I think Ivel is just bad with wrestlers, and Vitor Belfort held him down. He got lucky against Goodridge because Goodridge didn't immediately take him down, and he is able to tee off with a head kick. We never got to see what happens when he fights a pure striker in Wanderlei Silva because of the foul, and now he's back up against a thick wrestler. And
a thick wrestler who could definitely take a beating, because we know that fucking shit.
Oh yeah,
because if there's something these fucking wrestlers can do, is take a fucking beating.
Yeah, they're really good at that. And then Fujita with his medically diagnosed thick skull.
Thickest.
Yes, thickest.
Thickest.
Thickest
it's not
skull.
just thick.
Yeah,
it's thickest.
The thickest skull they have ever seen. Well, here's my thoughts. What a fucking stinker. I should have expected it, but I was hoping for a brutal one-sided beating similar to the Shamrock fight, where Fujita somehow pulls out the win. But this was a snooze, lay and pray, boring fight. Fuck you, Fujita. So, what would become of our two inspirationally indigent fighters here? We won't see the men until Pride 14, Clash of the Titans, where Gilbert will take a shot against Igor Volchanchyn, while Fujita will take on a debuting Yoshihiro Takayama in the main event. Takayama, a towering 6'5" Japanese pro wrestler, will be making his MMA debut at Pride 14. Looking forward to that. See you then, boys!
Why are you looking forward towards that? Against Fujita?
Wait until you see fucking Takayama.
Well, I understand that, but he's fighting Fujita. How are you looking forward to a Fujita fight? This is curious of me. I'm the one that's drinking the most, and now you're the one that's acting drunk.
And I have to mention now that my memory's been sparked. Just over the last couple days, Takayama was involved in a freak pro wrestling accident where he might be paralyzed.
Ooh.
And I feel bad because Takayama is a legend. We'll see him. We'll see. He has a legendary fight with Don Fry that is known the world over.
Okay.
All right, I can't wait for him. So I hope you get better, Takayama. The boys of Pride are pulling for you.
You were telling me earlier that you beat up the whole football team in your high school in Staten Island. Is that true?
It's a long story. Bottom line was I was a big kid. I was 215-pounder wrestling in high school, state champion, first kid actually to win the New York Athletic League 3 times in a row. So I had, of course, a lot of jealousy and envy once again in the same area. And people were like, "Oh, you don't play football. You're wrestling a singlet. You're a fag. You're wrestling tights." They always use those expressions. So you know what? When it came down to it, I had to lay the smack down on a bunch of guys, and one by one, the football team went down. And that's the bottom line.
On to fight number 7, which sees a returning Ricco Rodriguez taking on John Marsh, who is making his Pride debut. Ricco was 23 years old and had an MMA record of 7-1. Meanwhile, Marsh who's from the USA, was 30 years old and had a record of 6-3. Ricco, who is the third man fighting tonight, who was born in August, Geezer Tidbit, is back after his beatdown on Giant Ochai and looks to deliver another fight check into the gracious hands of Takada. But who is his opponent? John Marsh. Born on September 15th in, I don't have when. Born in some year on September 15th in Torrance, California.
You can put like they do in like the movies and comics where it's like 19XX.
Yes, yeah, born in 19XX, September 15th, 30 years prior, so that would be what, 1970? We'll go with that. In Torrance, California, the Bull, as he is known, wrestled in high school through junior college, then took up boxing. In 1993, John started training at Hoist Gracie's Gracie Academy. He would eventually earn a blue belt, and then he made his MMA debut in April of '98 at Extreme Challenge 17, held in Indianapolis, Indiana. A tournament event, John would defeat two no-name opponents, hobos, I'm assuming, via submission to punches against both men to capture the tournament win at Extreme Challenge. The Bull would win another tournament in September of '98, Rumble in Reno, where he beat Keith Stewart and Jack Swart, two no-names, both via submission. John went for a third tournament win at Super Brawl 13 in September of 1999, where he first beat MMA horror Travis Fulton via heel hook before losing to a very portly-looking Josh Barnett, future mega star fighter, via Kimura. This would be John's first loss of his career. But two more losses would come John's way before Pride 12, both via decision. Jeremy Horn was the first at Neutral Grounds 13 in November of '99, and then to venerable MMA journeyman Vladimir Matyushenko at IFC Warriors Challenge 6 in March of 2000. And that brings us here to Pride 12. In the pre-fight interview, Ricco is such a fucking badass. Eddie asks him about the time he kicked the ass of the whole football team. What Ricco leaves out is that it was the local Staten Island Pee Wee football team who had called him a fag, and thus earned Ricco's ire. What a mighty hero you are, Ricco.
Jesus Christ.
And I'm going to put in a picture of a Pee Wee football team in the part where he's telling the story of how he kicked the ass.
You want to know? Oh my God! You want to know the funniest part about this story?
What?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, listeners, it's time to play the game. Who does he look like? I'm not even sure I've done this one before for Ricco, because I know he's been...
We've never done one for Ricco.
We've never done one for Ricco? All right. Well, then I am glad to do one for Ricco. So, ladies and gentlemen, who does Ricco look like? I'm going to give you a second to try to guess. You're never going to guess, by the way, but I'm going to give you a second.
Al Pacino.
No. The villain from the kids show Lazy Town. The only reason I know this is because for some reason, every once in a while he comes up in the websites I visit, because I think he's I think he had cancer or something, and he's like slightly recovering and stuff like that. So he'll come up and people will put pictures and all that stuff. So I just remember I looked at Ricco, I'm like, oh my God, this is it. This is it. But ladies and gentlemen, I have some very intensive news now. We're gonna play a second round. Who does he look like? Second round, but this time's not for Ricco. This time for his opponents.
John Marsh.
John Marsh.
Who does he look like?
A less beat up Sylvester Stallone.
Okay, I can see that.
Now, when you combine these two people, and I made this reference again for other fights, this to me always brings up the memory of Enter the Dragon, Bruce Lee versus Abdul Jamal. Because you have John Marsh, who has a ridiculously impressive upper body. You know, he looks like he could be like a full-out professional boxer. And then you have Ricco, who has the longest fucking legs there ever fucking was.
Yes, yeah.
So you have like this clash of this like John looks more
stumpy,
more
sort of
like upper body versus lower body, and I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be fucking awesome.
I can see it. I just know this fight is gonna fucking suck, and I was very tempted to introduce a new feature of Pride Resurrection called the Action Recap. But for the sake of our viewers, let's just suck it down. Round 1. Touch of the gloves and Ricco feints a takedown. Small leg kick by him next. Then what a fucking idiot. Ricco goes for a high kick and falls right on his fucking ass.
Oh my god. That was hilarious. There's a certain level of stupidity. But at the same time, then you turn it around and John did nothing.
No, he didn't pounce or anything.
Like, I mean, Ricco literally fucking fell.
Yeah.
Literally. And John's like, yeah, no, go ahead. Get back up.
Takada just claps in his corner. That's good, John. You know? Marsh tries to grab Ricco and punch his fucking face, but fails. Ricco wades in with distracting punches and grabs John, and then the men twist around for control. Eventually, they wind up in the corner, and Marsh delivers knees. Immediate calls for action by the ref. Action! Glad to see we're back to wanting action. Ricco spins and muscles Marsh down, and we get a shot at Takada in Ricco's corner.
Da-da-da-da-da-da! Guess what time it is? You're right. Fuck you, Takada.
My favorite segment.
But what you should do is honestly just put like my head on like a little body just across the screen that says "Fuck you, Takada" as it just goes across the street. Fuck you, Takada.
Some drunks in the crowd see Takada and immediately shout, "Takada!"
Of John Marsh, who's down on the bottom.
Which he can do real easy because he knows Ricco's not going to stand up.
Some drunks watching this video did the exact same thing.
Quadros sings the praises of the Takada dojo.
Famous pro wrestler here in Japan, probably the most famous pro wrestler since Antonio Inoue. And Ricco is now training at his gym, and that gym has produced, among other people, Kazushi Sakuraba, who a lot of people feel is the best fighter in the sport.
Ricco gets to his feet, then gets back down in the guard. Ricco is in side control now. Ricco tries a couple knees. John gets to his knees and receives a knee from Ricco. Then he stands. 2 more knees by Ricco. Then John pushes Ricco away. Awkward leg kick by John. Then another one that cracks against Ricco's foot. Ricco barrels in to grab John, and we are clinched in the corner. 5 minutes down in round 1. Ricco works the body, but it's not enough for the referee, who comes in to separate the fighters. John with a leg kick, and Ricco responds with a 1-2, then another. Now Marsh rushes in for a takedown, but Ricco overpowers him and has control as he pushes John into the corner. The ref comes in after a minute to separate the fighters again, and the ref gives a pep talk to our fighters before he restarts the fight. Quadros calls it a bit of a hugging contest.
Been a bit of a hugging contest.
Ouch.
I mean, up until this point, like, some of the strikes, especially some of the strikes, Ricco looks like a fucking amateur. Like, he is whiffing some of this shit, and it's like, holy hell, man, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah. Ricco, he's a better wrestler than he is a puncher. He does look like a fucking rank amateur in some of his punching.
Yeah.
It's kind of pathetic. Oh, where was I? Ricco pushes in and grabs Marsh, and we're up against the ropes. He tries for a takedown, and we're pushed into the corner. 1 minute now remains in round 1. Ricco trips Marsh down and is in half guard. He tries for punches but doesn't get much off. Then the bell rings, ending round 1. Do you have anything for this?
No, not for this round.
On to round 2! Marsh starts us off with a right hand that kind of connects, then a body shot as Ricco kicks. Nice leg kick by Ricco and a swinging punch by Marsh. Ricco shoots in and grabs Marsh. We hug against the ropes. Then Ricco explodes down and is in side control. There's a knee to the head, but he doesn't put a whole lot of effort into it. Ricco moves into a high side control position and delivers more knees, trying to channel the spirit of Mark Coleman, but he's hitting more with the thigh. Now in north-south position, or as I like to call it, the Freaky Mountain. More knees, but honestly, they're not doing much. But I'm sure they are making an impression on the judges. As Ricco goes for some really bad knee shots, more like thigh shots, John rolls him, but Ricco is smart enough to get up and not get completely reversed. We're back on to our feet. Leg kick by Marsh, and Ricco shoots in and takes him down in full guard. 5 minutes down in round 2. Ricco maybe attempts a neck crank, but perhaps he was just using it to open up the guard of John. He then tries it again, and the crowd seems to like it.
To open the guard is the best way. Watch this. He pulls, he opens the guard, you see? And then try to get out.
3 minutes now remain in round 2. Ricco works the body and then the head, but it's just pitter-patter shots. Boss and Quadros jokingly talk about Igor Volchanchyn, which was brought up because of how hard it is to submit him.
Yeah, that's probably why Igor Vovchanchyn has never been armbarred.
He's got no arm. He's one solid block. It's like a forearm, a whole bicep.
It's like one big fist just hanging out of his shoulder.
And it feels like a table.
Quadros says it's like a fist sticking out of a shoulder, describing how Igor has such thick, stubby arms. Double fists attempt by Ricco. He must have learned that from Sakuraba. Furious punches by Ricco, and Marsh doesn't do much. 1 minute now remains in round 2. Not much else happens here, fight fans, besides this methodical grounded pound, and thus the bell rings, ending round 2, and hopefully our fight. Quadros and Boss are certain that Ricco has won this, and I have to agree, but to find out for sure, we'll go to the judges to learn the result, which is...
And
there it is, no surprise to us. Ricco Rodriguez getting the decision.
Ricco Rodriguez, winner via decision after 2 rounds. After the verdict, Ricco celebrates and once again is getting too familiar with the trophy girl. Ricco poses for pictures, then says, "Get me on my good side," as he plays with his junk.
Around the ring. Ricco with his pose.
And that's it. Good vibe. What did you think about this barn burner of Ricco versus Marsh?
I mean, it started off weird because any fight that starts with someone whiffing a kick so bad that they fall is not going to be a great match.
Yeah.
But, I mean, for what it was, Ricco did well. The second round especially, Ricco was using his kicks more. Because like I said in the beginning, is he definitely had, advantage on that, his legs being longer. Mm-hmm. So he that would be a good thing to use, and he ended up using it a couple of times where, you would see John try to throw a punch or something and get kicked back in return.
Right.
So I mean, overall, just wasn't terrible. I mean, a lot of the times they were hugging in the corners, doing body blows or whatever the fuck. I mean,
yeah. These guys are 2 low-ranking amateurs. They both come from King of the Cage and American sort of low-tier MMA organizations. Ricco at this point is kind of lucky. He's in Pride. He'll be even luckier when he will go on to the UFC. I'll bring this up in just a second here. But I don't really see Ricco as being a top-level fighter. Even though I do think he has a good skill set, I don't think he exploits it. As for this fight, I fucking hated this fight. I like Ricco. He's a big fucking doofus, but he's a likable doofus. Though he seems to rely on his wrestling too much. John Marsh, I have no fucking clue who this guy is. Let's just fucking move on. So, what would become of our two tip-top thumpers here? We won't be seeing Ricco Rodriguez again for quite some time, not until Pride. Total Elimination 2003, far off in the year 2003. I'll give Ricco some credit, as he must have realized how bad a deal being in the Takada Dojo was. Ricco would next fight in King of the Cage 7, Wet and Wild, against Paul Buentello, before he would sign a contract with the UFC. Making his UFC debut at UFC 32 in June of 2001 against Andrei Arlovsky. While in the UFC, Ricco just might win the UFC Heavyweight Championship. But to find out for sure, be sure to come back and check out Pride Resurrection episode whatever for...
Wait. There is a question that needs to be answered here.
Oh, okay.
A spoiler of sorts.
Oh.
That I am very curious, and I blame Boss and Quadros for.
Okay.
Did Ricco ever become the highest paid member of that sport?
Did they bring that? Did they say that he wanted to become the highest?
Yep, he said that was his goal.
Oh, was that in his interview?
No, it was during the fight.
Okay. Oh my god.
It was during the fight.
I'm gonna have to fucking try and find that.
Yeah, it was during the fight. Bosses, like, I can't remember if it was Boss or Quadros. One of them.
Well, there was no way he's gonna become the highest paid fighter while in the Takada Dojo because he's giving his fucking check.
Yeah.
Over to Takada.
Yeah, no, but
I give him credit because he left Takada Dojo. He left Japan to go back to America. He fought.
A great move.
Yes.
But I'm just saying, like, even with his skills, I'm like, I don't see that happening, man.
No. As for John Marsh, this would be it for his Pride fighting career. His next fight wouldn't be for 3 years in 2004, and he would only have 5 more fights in his MMA career after this, going 2-3 in those fights. He would make 1 appearance in the UFC at UFC 52, a loss against Mike Van Arsdale in April of 2005. Marsh's last fight of his career would come in November of 2007, where he faced off against Oleg Taktarov at Bodog Fight, USA versus Russia, held in Moscow. Oleg, with the backing of one Donald J. Trump, would knee-bar John and send him packing. The collusion continues.
Jesus Christ. We really coming with this topical shit. Oh my god.
The collusion.
Someone get Robert Mueller here. We have proof of collusion now. What the hell?
What a shame. John would finish his career with a record of 8-7 and currently owns an MMA training center in Redondo Beach, California. Of course he does.
Impeach.
See you some other time, John.
Everybody knows that there's an image problem with this sport in the United States. How does it feel to be perceived as a barbarian, a Neanderthal in your own country?
Well, it's insulting. I come over here and, this sport has such a sacred place. It's from the beginning of any kind of sport. There's comes an individual sport. Before there's team sports, there's individual combat. And you come over here, and it really is held in a sacred place. For us as athletes, I come out of a collegiate background. I come out of wrestling for the men's freestyle world teams, and coming over here and being able to develop myself into a professional athlete and have the respect and have the admiration of the fans here, it's an unbelievable feeling. And I know there's a core group in the United States that really sees the sport aspect of it, and what we're trying to do in the mixed martial arts world is get that broader appeal to everybody. And, thankfully for Pride, for them to take this to the next level, and I'm really proud to be a part of this.
you're articulate. You're a collegiate wrestler. What makes you want to get in the ring and break people?
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like I said before, it's development of myself as a professional. It's amazing to be involved in this and to really see the sporting aspect of it. I really feel like, you know, I've taken my wrestling and applied it to something that is universal. You're not going to find wrestling in every corner of the world, but you're going to find some form of hand-to-hand combat. I know in the year 2000 that I am a modern-day gladiator. You know, 500,000 years ago, I'm at the front of the gates defending the city. And that's the kind of feeling that I get when I do this sport.
Fight number 8 of the evening sees a returning Igor Volchanchyn taking on a returning Mark Kerr. Igor was 27 years old and enters this fight with an MMA record of 45-3 and 1 no contest. Mark Kerr, meanwhile, was 31 years old and had a record of 13-1 and 1 no contest. It's the proper deserved rematch from Pride 7, where the men had a closely contested match until an errant knee by Igor ended the fight. Igor mistakenly was declared the winner until the result of the fight was overturned and changed into a no contest, the knee being declared an illegal strike. Geezer tidbit time! Mark Kerr is 12 days shy of his 32-second birthday here.
32-second? Is that really what you just said?
32
He's, dear listeners, he is 322 years old. or 64 years old. One of the two. I don't know.
I'll leave that in. Although I'm tempted to redo it and cut that out. But I'll leave it in. I haven't drank in quite a while, fight fans. And so I've had 2 tall boys. So I'm getting pretty blitzed right now. I'm surprised I can get through most of these long-ass fucking paragraphs.
Well, then stop writing fucking long-ass paragraph, dumbass.
Pre-fight, Bravo asks Kerr, what does it feel like to be seen as a barbarian in his own country? Mark has an entire essay to say about it. Mark has definitely lost some weight. You can easily see it in his shoulders and chest.
This is going to be a great match, plain and simple. You have 2 amazing fighters. I mean, it's one of those things that I know is going to disappoint me, because everyone knows that at this point in time, no better striker than Igor. And I want Igor to have a strike match, and Kerr would be a good person for that, but I know it's not gonna happen because no one is gonna risk going toe to toe with Igor.
So let's see what happens. Round 1. Kerr starts us off with an errant leg kick. Igor moves in and swings away with punches, and Kerr dives low, but Igor sprawls. Igor tries to take his back, but Kerr is ready for it and blocks it. He then has a hold of his leg, and Kerr pushes Igor into the ropes and turns him down to the mat. Kerr is biding his time here as Igor is wary to give him any openings. I'm hoping that Kerr opens up here, but he's not doing much, though there is no calls for action from the ref yet. There's an unintentional clash of the heads, and Kerr gets up, and the fight is halted briefly. The ref restarts the fighters in the center of the ring. Kerr goes for a neck crank, but doesn't get much off. Boss says Igor has no neck.
Igor has almost no neck, so that's why a neck crank like that could work.
Big ringing left from Kerr, but other than that, there's not much to make note of here. This is a battle of attrition. Kerr seems content to ride on top of Igor and just holds him down. 5 minutes down in round 1. Kerr finally decides to try and pass guard, about 3 minutes too late. Igor fights it off and Kerr doesn't get anywhere. The crowd sounds restless, whistling to show their disdain for this fight.
I really should go for it. There you go. Yeah, if he got side position, it would be very difficult for Igor because, especially if he got the upside down position the same way Mark Coleman did in the finals of the Grand Prix.
The ref finally comes in and stands them up. The ref then decides to give the men a yellow card.
I mean, I do want to point out something is they're really freaking happy with these yellow cards now. Like, before it used to be like maybe you would get one an event, maybe two. This time we've seen so fucking many already. It's fucking crazy.
Right, and I don't think the yellow cards really mean anything right now other than just the effect.
Yeah, the warning, but I mean, still, that's still like even for effect, that's a lot of yellow cards this event.
When they implement the rule, and I don't know when it happens, but they'll implement the rule that a yellow card will deduct 10% of your fighter purse.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're getting paid $75,000 and a yellow card's going to cost you $7,500, yeah, you don't want to get a fucking yellow card. You know, and they will use that to make sure that the fighters are fighting.
Which honestly works for me. That's a perfect fucking thing for me. Yeah. So, but I'm just saying it's a pretty big change from what we've seen before. Absolutely. Like yellow cards are now they're not shy about it.
I think Pride right now is they're gonna get their rules, you know, hammered down. The kicks and knees to an opponent down in any position will come very shortly, and that's gonna start off a fucking an arms race for whoever can fucking do soccer kicks to a person who's like down on all fours. It's gonna come, dude, and it's gonna be fucking crazy. On the restart, Kerr looks very awkward. He barrels in, slaps Igor with a kick, and then shoots for his hips. Then turns Igor down to the mat. Boss doesn't like it.
You have to punch again and to push and pull, and it doesn't work real well together.
Kerr shooting in high with a right
That
low
is
kick.
a very good kick.
And Igor letting Kerr grab him around the waist, down, back into his guard again. Igor didn't even try and fight that one off, boss.
Oh, this is not good.
Quadros says there is men that fight to win and men that fight not to lose.
Well, it's maybe there's people that fight to win and people that fight not to lose.
Oh, hey, I can understand it. I'm not saying I don't understand it, but I mean, if you come to fight, come fight. You want to fight. You want to entertain the people. You know, the people are here to see you fight. They're not here to see somebody laying it out. You know.
Kerr is definitely that right now. But of course, what is Igor doing? Knee to the ass by Kerr. The crowd really lets it out that they hate this fight, booing and whistling loudly.
They're doing it. You know, the people don't like it. You hear the people booing. I have to say that almost never happens in Japan. I never hear that. You see, everybody starts booing now.
The ref repositions the fighter, and now 1 minute remains in round one. The round ends here, though, fight fans. A stalemate with Kerr in full control on top, but not doing anything with it. In the corner, both men look spent, and Igor surprisingly is huffing very hard. Quadros compares pro wrestling to MMA, saying that the reason why pro wrestlers are paid more than MMA fighters and why pro wrestling is more popular than MMA is because people pay to see action, and in pro wrestling there is always action. This is true if you care about fake action and not about a real sport where men are truly competing with each other. Kerr is obviously desperate to not lose this fight, and he is doing what he knows best: takedown and control.
Which is a good, like I said, it is a good way to handle Igor. It's a good way to handle a match against Igor.
You know, and I think it's sad because at this point, Kerr is the era, and I make mention of this later. The era of Kerr is over. He was a dominant force to be reckoned with. Nobody could fuck with him, but he, due to his own detriment, where he fucked up his body with supplements and steroids and substance abuse. He didn't train on his conditioning. He didn't train much on his striking. He just relied on his takedowns, which you can't stop his fucking takedown.
No, you can't.
I mean,
because he's a fucking giant guy, so
Right.
you're not gonna stop him.
So unfortunately, Kerr is just looking to not lose this fight. He desperately doesn't want to lose it. He's not going for the win. He's just going not to lose, which is what we're getting now. Round two. Kerr dives for Igor's hips and eats a knee on the way in, but Kerr has the double leg and takes Igor down. Igor decides to get busy, me stealing a phrase from Quadros, but he gives it up pretty quick. The men kind of swing their arms in a motion similar to punches, but nothing much happens. The crowd begins chattering again very loudly, and they definitely hate these two gaijins in the ring right now. You can fully blame Kerr, but it's not his fault. Igor can't do anything with Kerr on top of him. After Igor patters Kerr's face, Kerr finally gets pissed off and delivers a nice hammer blow right onto Igor's schnoz. The ref is being very cautious with standing these two fighters up, and it shows the level of respect that Pride officials must have extended to both men. The ref must have been advised to let it go. 5 minutes down in round 1, the crowd is pissed off, and finally the ref has come in to stand it up. Another yellow card is pulled out, but who's it given to? I have no fucking clue. They don't make clear who gets the yellow card.
Everybody. The crowd.
Yeah.
The audience.
You're right.
Takeda, because he's a fucking douche.
Igor looks tired as he barely committed to throwing a left that is easily blocked. Igor moves in with a left and right and then kick that pops Kerr, who shoots down for the legs. But Igor sprawls nicely. He stands over Kerr, punches him, and now he is able to swing around unabated to Kerr's back. Igor works punches to Kerr's head. Kerr tries to stand, but Igor has him in full control. Kerr tries for a Kimura, but Igor defends. The crowd is now suddenly in love with the fight.
Kerr tucks and rolls.
And he's going for an armbar.
Going for a Kimura. Volchanchyn's got to be real careful.
And Kerr is strong.
Igor gets out of the Kimura and goes back to punching. Kerr stands up and Igor does little to stop him. Igor swings with a whiffing right and Kerr takes him down. And everybody in attendance groans.
Oh, he threw that helmet. Oh, and down he goes into the guard.
3 minutes remain in round 2. Kerr pushes up Igor's left leg, and in a very wily move, he fakes a pass to the left and instead goes to the right, totally surprising Igor. Kerr is now in side control. Kerr goes for a knee but doesn't get much contact. He tries to go for mount mistakenly and gets caught down into half guard. 1 minute now remains in round 2. Kerr with small punches. Quadros calls this a close fight. I disagree. The bell then rings, ending round 2. We'll take it to the judges to learn what will become of our fight. Is it a draw like Quadros and Boss think it is?
Go ahead. There we go. 5 minutes again.
It's declared a draw, and we'll go to another 5-minute round. I totally fucking disagree. This was a bullshit fucking call.
Really?
Kerr was on top for 80% of the fight.
Yeah, but doing jack shit.
He had 4 takedowns.
Okay, I'll give you that.
He had side control. He had a nice Kimura attempt, which, looked pretty threatening.
Yeah.
So he's on top for 80% of the round. He has 4 takedowns. He gets into side control, pretty big position. Mm-hmm. And he goes for a Kimura, so he goes for a submission. That cements the fight right there. I know you can make the argument that other than that, he didn't do a whole lot, but in the essence of the fight, the significant stuff really came from him.
Yeah, but see, here's the way I see it, and the way I agree with Boston Quadros about this being a tie. Is yes, he did certain things, so did Igor, but I think it's more, like you said, I think it's more the significance of the fight. This is 2 of the biggest fighters at this point.
Yeah, probably the 2 biggest fighters in the sport. Yeah.
You don't want it to go to a decision. You want to give them that chance that maybe if they go on a little bit longer, something magical will fucking happen. Because it hasn't. It honestly fucking hasn't, and it's been disappointing. So I think they gave it that little push and hoping for better.
I believe that. Yes, you've convinced me with that. That the third round was given to see if maybe, being the 2 biggest fighters, something great could happen.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, let's get into the overtime round. The bell rings. They touch gloves and we're off. The men exchange huge right hands, but Igor's found a home for his, and then he pegs Kerr with another. Kerr goes down and Igor is all over him. Igor keeps pounding away. He's on Kerr's back, and then there is blood on Kerr's forearm. Kerr tries to stand, but Igor drags him back down, still on his back. Igor with lefts as Kerr tries to control Igor's right hand. Kerr tries to stand again, and then he manages to spin up, but he loses fuck, wait. I need another drink. That's what I need.
I would offer one, but I got nothing, man. I'm running on my last one.
Okay. Kerr tries to stand up, and then he manages to spin, but he loses balance and just can't stand at the 2-minute mark. Kerr somehow gets a hold of Igor's left leg, and Igor can't do anything to stop it as Kerr takes him down to the mat. But Kerr needs to act. He just can't lay here. But that he does, and just grinds his forearm onto Igor's face. We're down to 1 minute into the overtime round, and we're still here with Kerr having done literally zero in terms of action. He's letting the fight slip away. We end the overtime round here as the bell rings, and Quadro says it's gonna go to Igor, and Boss says he would make it a total draw. We'll learn the result of the fight from the judges, which is...
ジャッジディズルバットイゴール・ボブチャンチン選手
The judges have ruled the winner.
ジャッジ渡辺イゴール・ボブチャンチン選手ジャッジ小林イゴール・ボブチャンチン選手判定の結果勝者イゴール・ボブチャンチン
Igor Volchanchyn, winner via unanimous decision after 3 rounds. Kerr leaves the ring immediately, obviously upset over the call, and Igor celebrates with hugs and some shadow boxing, and then we're off to the main event. Good vibe? What were your thoughts on Igor versus Kerr?
So, when you find out that there's a new strip club in the vicinity,
Okay.
and you're like, and you hear people, and oh, fucking amazing, and you're like, all right, we're gonna go there, because it sounds like a great fucking time.
Okay.
So you go there, and outside it looks amazing, it has fucking lights everywhere, and there's fucking people, and you're like, this is gonna be amazing. You walk in, the first girl with this dance is amazing, and from there on, nothing but disappointment. That's this fight. This fight had promise, it had everything, and it just didn't deliver.
I'll use a slightly more apt analogy for this. It's like finding out Santa Claus doesn't exist, being that this is Cold Fury and it's around Christmas time, right?
Hey, strippers can be dressed as elves. I don't mind that.
This fight for me with Kerr, it's like finding out Santa Claus doesn't exist. Kerr to me was a superhero. He was a Greek god. And then to watch him in this overtime round, against all odds, he weathers Igor's storm and he takes Igor down. You think he would be furious. Just, I'm going to mash his motherfucking head like we've seen him do before.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it. It's like, why? What the fuck are you doing? The fight is in your hands. You have 3 minutes left. You've taken him down with 3 minutes left. It's a 5-minute overtime. You have more than 50% of the round to deal damage, to make him pay, and to show that you're the dominant fighter. And what does he do?
Just sit around and do nothing.
Jack shit. I was so livid with Mark Kerr in this fight. I really did. It's like a part of me died because I love Mark Kerr and I am a huge Mark Kerr fan. But this was where Mark Kerr stopped being a fighter.
Well, I mean, honestly, and that's the thing is, and to you, you like Mark Kerr and all this stuff, but it's the same for Igor. Like he really didn't do as powerful an Igor present as Igor can. Right. I mean, Igor has shown us some great fights. Igor, when he fought Big Daddy and Big Daddy Goodrich, when he's fought anyone, but then he shows up today, or for the not today technically. You know what I fucking read, and it's like, all right. you're not there, man. This is not Igor. Like, Igor has always impressed me because he's not the most toned person, but he can always deliver power.
Right, yeah, and his body shape is fine for fighting because, you either have punching power or you don't.
Yeah.
Muscles aren't going to make a difference.
Exactly, but and that's what I've always been surprised is he has the stamina, he has the punching power, and it just wasn't there today.
After having 50 fights under his belt, the fact that Igor still can't muster much from the bottom is really surprising.
It is. It is.
50 MMA fights.
Because and here's the thing is like I said at the beginning is Igor realize there's no way anyone doesn't realize this is Igor, his strength is in his punches, right?
Yes.
So even Igor probably understood at the time that everyone knows this. No one is gonna go 1-for-1 on punches against him. So I mean, yes, you are one of the best strikers there around at this time, probably the best. No one's gonna go with you against that. So you need to be able to be like, okay, if I'm the best striker, what are people gonna try to do? Take me down. What do I need to do? Work on that. And he fucking hasn't. I mean, shown it time and time again.
Right. I wouldn't hold it against him too much because Mark Kerr at this point, Mark Kerr probably there's very few people that could stop a Mark Kerr takedown. But
but that's the thing is I'm not saying about stopping takedowns. I'm saying ability to do something when you've been taken down, because your opponent's Mark Kerr,
right?
So you're gonna be taken down.
Yeah,
Plain and fucking
be
simple.
on the ground some point.
It's exactly that. Like I'm saying is Mark Kerr's not gonna fucking go 1-for-1 against strikes against you. It's fucking Mark Kerr. He's going to take you down. What do? Fucking work on that. The moral of this fight is wasted potential.
Yes. So, what would become of our two hunksome hitters here? Igor Volchanchyn will be back at Pride 13 Collision Course, where the man with the missing tit, Trey Teligman, will step up to challenge Ice Cold. As for Kerr, this unfortunately would mark the end of the Kerr era. Mark won't return to Pride until Pride 15, Raging Rumble, held in July of 2001, where he'll take on Heath Herring. After that, we will only see the Smashing Machine once more, after a nearly 3-year layoff at Pride 27 in February of 2004. So I am a bit sad to say this, but let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet. See ya, boys, then!
It was a bit of an accident. Can you explain the situation with your brother Hyan?
Yeah, he was coming out of the interviews, the interview room, and I staff was just playing with him a little bit and pull his arm, and he happened to have a rupture of the bicep. But everything's fine. The boy can overcome that easy.
Why do you think Sakuraba has been so successful against the Gracies? What is it about him?
O que você acha que o Sakuraba tem tanto sucesso contra os Gracies?
Ele é bom lutador.
He's an exceptional fighter.
Tem uma técnica boa.
A very good technique.
E muita sorte.
And very good lucky man. Very lucky man.
Good evening, Japanese friends. I'm Renzo Gracie. My brother Hyan Gracie was practicing very hard to defeat Mr. Sakuraba here on this ring tonight. He's ready to fight with the Gracie's Pride. He hurt his right shoulder 2 days ago, and Pride official doctor and the Dream Stage company gave him a big disapproval of the fight tonight, according to Pride rule. But we are the Gracies. We cannot follow these instructions, and we cannot accept and understand what they're offering us. Because of this, there is no problem for Hyan to fight tonight. Although he has a very bad injury, for us Gracie's family, fight is not just a fight. It's a duel for our pride and our life.
Our ninth and main event of the evening sees a returning Hyan Gracie taking on a returning Kazushi Sakuraba. Hyan was 26 years old and had a record of 1-0. Sakuraba, meanwhile, was 31 years old and had a record of 12-1 and 1 no contest. The Gracies aren't done with this Sakuraba fellow yet, and maybe it's the other way around. But tonight it is Hyan who is stepping up to try and reclaim the Gracie family honor. In the pre-fight interview with Eddie Bravo, Henzo states that he accidentally ruptured Hyen's right bicep after some horseplay, and Hyen, though injured, will still fight. Well, this kind of puts a damper on things, don't you think? Then, in the ring, Henzo tells the fans in attendance that his brother hurt his right shoulder and that he was told not to fight, but that the Gracies simply won't accept this. Okay then, which is it? Is it a ruptured bicep? Is it an injured shoulder? Just wait until we see this motherfucker Hyen, and he's got tape everywhere all over his fucking body.
I know, and this is the funniest thing is because the moment I saw Hyen walk in, I looked at it and was like, I didn't know this, but apparently he became a mummy.
Yes.
Because like, holy shit, he does have tape everywhere.
Yes. I must note the dramatic music that is used for Hyen Gracie in his video promo. Great stuff. In the ring, Sakuraba has adorned his iconic mask with a Santa cap and a fake Santa beard. And he then reveals he has half red, half orange dyed hair. And this match takes a departure from our previous fight, as it's only one single 10-minute round. Is this because of Hyen's injury or some other negotiated rule? Not sure. Hyen is all sorts of fucked up. There are scratches all over his chest and right arm, and giant pieces of duct tape on his shoulder, and then both his knees are heavily wrapped up. What the fuck is going on? I have no clue, and there's no explanation from the commentators on the other apparent injuries. The men are ready to go. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Let's do this.
However, no, I'm just kidding.
Round one. Sakuraba starts us off with a missing high kick as Hyen flies in with a right. Sakuraba ducks and the men collide, and Hyen tries to punch as Sakuraba stands. Hyen mistakenly decides to run into an incoming Sakuraba kick, and he gets rocked, but he holds on to the leg. Sakuraba tries to stand upright, and they hit the ropes. Hyen gets Sakuraba's back, and they move into the corner. This, though, is the same position that Sakuraba used to break Henzo's arm, as noted by Quadros.
Because this was the same position that Henzo got his arm broken.
Sakuraba holds on to the left arm, threatening with the Kimura. Apparently, Sakuraba didn't train a whole lot for this fight, because he had, quote-unquote, other things to do, and he felt that Hyen Gracie wasn't anything special. This, according to Quadros.
Well, Sakuraba said that he did not train so hard. He had a lot of things to do. And he did say that Hyen Gracie is nothing special, and that his motivation is the same.
And wow, the ref has come in to separate the fighters. That's a big surprise. I figured with Sakuraba, they would let it go on for however long Sakuraba was in control.
Yeah, but he was in control, but here's the difference is, he was in control, and it's Sakuraba, it's the fucking golden boy of Japan, right? But he literally wasn't moving. No one was moving.
Right.
I mean, even before when we had, not the calls for action worth a little bit more, benefit to the Japanese fighter, there was a little bit, whatever, still going. This time, Sakuraba wasn't trying to move the arm in any way, shape, or form or anything. Like, he had the arm. That was all that he did. Right. So, I mean, at that point, I don't think the ref could do anything but call for action.
Well, and I think clearly that and I do think that the Pride officials meddle in with, like, the ref. Like, they give him instructions or say, like, hey, look, we don't want this on the ground too long. We want you to stand it up. Give this fighter some leeway if he's on the ground. I mean, I'm not saying that they're dictating that the ref gives the fight.
But at the same time, they want the audience to be happy.
Right. And I think in this regard, they might feel that Sakuraba has nothing to fear from Hyen on the feet, so separating them wouldn't put Sakuraba at a disadvantage. That's what I think. Where was I? Back to the center of the ring. There's a laser high kick attempt by Heian, left by Sakuraba, and Heian shoots to grab Sakuraba. He has a full body lock and then muscles Sakuraba down, but just for a split second, as Sakuraba is right back up and the men separate. Heian shoots in again and gets a hold of Sakuraba's right leg. Sakuraba defends the takedown even as Heian pushes really hard to get it. Sakuraba does though put his knees down onto the mat and he relaxes as Heian huffs and puffs out breaths to try and regain control of his breathing. Sakuraba manages to get to the side of Heian and applies a head crank, and this definitely looks very painful, but Sakuraba smartly lets it go as nothing was coming of it. He then targets the left arm. He delivers a knee to the side, and Heian turns, letting Sakuraba get on top of him. 5 minutes are left in round 1. Sakuraba seems close to setting up a Mark Coleman-style headscarf choke, and then Heian gets back onto his knees. Then Sakuraba delivers some punches. Sakuraba is in total control as he pokes and prods for an opening on Heian. He knees and punches, then more knees, and Heian scrambles, getting up to his feet, and the men are furiously fighting for control here. Heian ends up in control in the corner, and he pushes for a takedown, but Sakuraba attacks the left arm. Sakuraba then manages to drag Heian down while going for the Kimura, and now he is on top. The crowd is firmly behind Sakuraba.
I want to point out, honestly, to me, and maybe you can back me up on this, maybe our listeners can back us up on this, this is the loudest the crowd has ever been.
I'll insert clip here.
Yeah.
Not a good position for Heian. Oh, not good. Not good. As soon as he releases.
Yeah.
I think because they were really up on and I was surprised because, like, you know, for the most prides that we've had, even when you have the poster childs of pride, you know, you have a little bit of noise here and there, but this one they just went wild.
Well, I think it's obviously Sakuraba is pretty much having his way with Heian, even though Heian is getting in a couple.
Well, Heian is energetic. I'll give him that, and he's out for blood because you can see it in his face.
He's game. He's definitely game to fight Sakuraba.
Yeah, but that's the thing is he's out for blood, but at the same time Sakuraba is like, you're not gonna get shit.
Right. Yeah. Oh, let's see. Where was I? The crowd is firmly behind Sakuraba. Heian, though, grabs the left leg of Sakuraba and holds on. There is now only 2 minutes left in round 1. Sakuraba with a front choke, and then he pelts the body of Heian, as Henzo shouts instructions to his brother.
People trying to lay and pray or something. Heian has, in a way, made this fight. Because Sakuraba, we know, is great. Heian was an X-Factor. We don't know much about him. He came right after Sakuraba. Sakuraba's been able to neutralize him and kind of control the match. But Heian, he's got a trick up his sleeve. Maybe, you know, he's got his things, you know. There's Henzo.
Sakuraba hooks Heian's left arm and tries to turn him over, but there is only 1 minute left. Sakuraba has cunningly latched onto what Quadros calls a chicken wing neck crank.
He's going to get him in a chicken wing neck crank?
But I highly doubt it will succeed. Sakuraba instead chooses to let it go, and Heian attacks for a leg lock or a heel hook. Quadros laments that there is only 1 round in this fight. And Sakuraba then chops the ass meat of Heian, all the while smiling widely.
He should go for Toho. Spanking him. Unbelievable. Every fight.
The crowd loves it, but the bell rings here, ending our fight. Heian holds his shoulder as if he's in pain, and the men help each other up. Heian simply looks defeated, and he knows he has lost this fight. Sakuraba then goes to his corner and embraces Henzo Gracie. We'll go to the center of the ring to learn the verdict of our fight, which is...
Judge Watanabe, Sakuraba. Judge Bato, Sakuraba.
Sakuraba, winner via decision after one single round of fighting. Quadros asks, what is left for Sakuraba? And Boss says, Hicks and Gracie.
But nonetheless, what is left for Sakuraba?
Hicks and Gracie. That's the name everybody is talking about.
I think so.
Too bad it's a fight that will never happen. Sakuraba then is adorned with his very own Saku championship belt as the credits of our DVD roll. Good vibe. Thoughts on our main event here?
It was a good fight. I will say this, and I've said this on previous fights before, because I understand people always want to. People don't want to disappoint. People want to fight. People want their money for a fight. Mm-hmm. But he's a fucking mummy.
Yes.
Which means he's injured. Which
Yes.
means he's not gonna be that much. So I will say this: I give 100% fucking props to Gracie because Sakuraba was going hard on his fucking arm.
Oh yeah.
And it's one of those things. Maybe they were lying about how intense the injury was or not, but still, regardless, he was going hard on that arm, on that injured arm, and he didn't tap out. So I'll give him that, but I'll go back to the exact same shit we did with the Pride tournament, right? Where you had this fucking completely injured fighter try to go up to the ring and do absolutely nothing.
Right, yes.
So that's the thing is, at what point can you defer that the fact is, Sakuraba's a great fighter? Yes. He wasn't fighting someone at their fullest.
Yeah, I like this fight. It was a good fight. Hyen is obviously, he's one of the more aggressive Gracies.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of the Gracies are sort of grapplers who do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He seems like he's a fighter. And maybe if he wasn't fucking falling apart, he might have given Sakuraba more of a challenge.
Exactly. Boom. There's my point. Honestly, like I wanna see a fight like this where he's not covered in fucking wraps.
Yes, I know.
Jesus Christ.
It literally is. Almost every limb of his body had fucking tape on it.
It's fucking retarded.
Still was a good fight. So, what would become of our two legit to quit fighters here? Hyen Gracie won't be back until Pride 15 in July of 2001, where he will have a rematch against his first ever opponent, Tokumitsu Ishizawa, aka Kendo Kashin, whom Ryan demolished previously at Pride 10. As for Sakuraba, he will headline the card once again at Pride 13, Collision Course, where he'll take on a different Brazilian, the Axe Murderer, Wanderlei Silva. Definitely looking forward to that one. And with that, we close the books on Pride 12, Cold Fury. Good vibe. Overall thoughts on this chilly event?
All right, overall thoughts. Here we go. Rapid fire. 1, name suck balls. I don't care if it was December. Plenty of other things. Rumble of the North. There we go.
Okay.
Boom.
Yeah.
No, but honestly, it was to me a good event. It had a couple of more of the fights were even and well paced. Mm-hmm. So I liked it. Had a couple of disappointments here and there, whatever. But that was about it. I mean, overall, decent event. I liked it.
I felt that this event was kind of a sidestep. I thought it had moments of it was a boring show, a couple bad matchups, which is surprising considering the overall lineup when you consider who was in this fucking event. Wanderlei Silva, Dan Henderson, Gilbert, Ivel, Sakuraba, Mark Kerr, Igor Volchanchyn, this guy Mezger, Enson Inoue, Heath Herring. This is a fucking stacked card for the time. And it didn't live up to the fighters, but it wasn't like a complete flop. It's kind of forgettable. And I'll just say this, luckily Pride 13 is a fucking hell of a show. So there is that.
All right. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I agree with you. I mean, it's for the names that were on. When you look at the names that were on the card, the event doesn't live up to it. Plain and simple.
No. But it wasn't a terrible event. It was okay.
Yeah.
It was okay. Now it's the part of the show where we pick our fight of the night. Good vibe, if you please.
Hands down, no contest whatsoever.
Oh.
No contest. Soji fight.
Oh.
It was the best paced, the most even fight. It kept you guessing the entire time. Like you never knew who was actually going to win. It was beautiful. I loved it. And like I said when the fight was going on, is even though there was groundwork, there was never laying around.
Right. That was runner-up. My two runner-ups are Ricardo Almeida versus Soji, and Mesger kicking Otsuka's ass. I love that. My fight of the night, I'm going with Heath versus Enson Inoue, which I felt was just the most action-packed fight. I thought it was super enjoyable. So that's it. That's my pick. All right.
A pick it is. I mean, jeez.
Were we right, fight fans? What was your fight of the night? Let us know in the comments. Now, friends, we've come to the close of episode 14. Wow, what a show. The best yet. I can't believe we've done 14 of these.
Jesus.
It's pretty fucking awesome. We'll be back soon with more Pride action in episode 15, where Pride 13 Collision Course will be on the menu. But just what is in store for us next time? Held on March 25th of 2001, a 3-month layoff, Pride 13 will feature 8 exciting MMA bouts, starting off with Vitor Belfort returning to take on Bobby Southworth. Guy Mesger and Enson Inoue return to duke it out. Heath returns to take on Denis Sobolev. Dan Henderson welcomes Henzo Gracie back to the Pride ring. Mark Coleman marks his triumphant return to take on Alan Goes. Newcomer Tadao Yoshida takes on a returning Masaki Satake. Trey Teligman comes back to fight Igor Volchanchyn. And to top it all off, we get Wanderlei Silva taking on white hot Kazushi Sakuraba. Until then, though, fight fans, we must bid you adieu. So, for the Colombian good vibe, woo-hoo-hoo, and the machine who is right now exploring the dark continent, I am the most dangerous man alive today. Wishing you goodbye, good luck, and we'll sniff you fucking jerks later. Where's your piece?
Oh, peace!